Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons, and moving on up.
We will develop men. We will graduate players. We will win championships on the field.
the best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
100% ready to go. It's been a long time coming, and I just can't wait to be out there. That's why I play football in the SEC, trying to go get it done.
If I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. Thoughts this morning here on TexAgs Radio. TexAgs Live. Way to go, Nuño. So I'm listening to Marcus Freeman this early morning, and he was talking. He had his press conference yesterday. He's talking about South Bend has the same temperature that is going to be at Kyle Field, at least right now. 86 degrees yesterday when he was talking about it. It's supposed to be 86 degrees at Kyle Field on Saturday night. But one of the things that I am thinking about is the humidity's got to be different. So I wrote down some of the times. Humidity at night in College Station that evening is going to be 77%. In South Bend, it was 63%, but the daily average is 83%. No, this is not a weather report. I'm just saying you cannot prepare for the weather at Kyle Field and the craziness that it's going to be. Let's talk to OB here. OB, this walk is kind of awkward for me. I'm sorry, but you look great this morning.
Got my duck camp shirt on.
You do have your duck camp shirt on. You think, does weather play a role in your opinion at all?
Not a major role, but I always say it's not the heat, it's the humidity. To your point, right?
Yeah.
But no, not a major role. If you'll see cramping, and I think in the fourth quarter,
That's
maybe
exactly right.
somebody could get it maybe a little bit worn down. But they also now give IVs to rejuvenate you a lot of times at halftime. So
I'm thinking, to me, it's.
But every little edge you look for.
That's exactly right. Every little edge, to me, it's not that one little edge is going to be the difference maker. It could be. But you start stacking up these little edges, right? These little places that you can be better. You stack up how you're conditioned to the weather, the 100,000+ that's going to be at Kyle Field. Hopefully the attention to detail. I listen to Marcus Freeman. He's a dynamic coach. I like his personality. I like the way he speaks. I think his players do like to play for him. One of the things that stood out in the press conference yesterday was how they've been able to add to their depth differently than the prior regime. He feels really good about whoever he puts out there at offensive line, whoever he puts out there at defensive line. They are going to be ready to go because they've been recruiting at that level.
Well, yeah, call me crazy, but I just have my doubts that he really wants to put a freshman left tackle out there, a true freshman. But like Mike Elko said yesterday, Notre Dame has a proud history of producing offensive linemen, star offensive linemen, and if they have a guy who's starting as a freshman, it probably means someday he's going to play in the NFL and be a high pick. So we'll see.
He was talking. We're going to get into what the O-line versus D-line here, which has been a huge topic for weeks now. But a couple of these freshmen and redshirt freshmen have beat out existing players. Mm-hmm. And to me, they must be good. They got to be good if Notre Dame has had such success recruiting the offensive line the last few years. They've got to be good. But their experience matters, man.
It does, and I don't know how many times we talk about like Chase Pasantes last year, a guard that was thrust into action at right tackle in a grown man's league, and you're going against guys who are grown and developed and highly recruited themselves, and rarely is that freshman going to play at the level of that guy that's been in the SEC. And I know Notre Dame's not in the SEC, so maybe it's different for them. But rarely is that guy completely prepared for that matchup.
Yep. By the way, I think you know this. This is actually TexAgs Live.
It is TexAgs.
Prior to what I said at the top of the show, we are presented by a gem of a human being.
Yeah, David Gardner, the jeweler.
The jeweler.
Yeah.
We're in the brand new Rollo Insurance Studio.
Jason and the boys.
Yep. And this is the Go Hour, and that's presented by
CC Creation.
Maroon U.
Maroon U.
Maroon never looks so good with Maroon U. Let's hear from Marcus Freeman, because he did talk about the O-line versus the D-line, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say, even though I already heard it.
Yeah, the openers, no matter if the coach is returning or not, coordinators are returning or not,
And just kind of piggybacking off of Tyler, but just with the inexperience that you have then at O-line, how do you feel that matches up with Texas A&M's experienced defensive line?
Yeah, it's going to be a great challenge. Their defensive line is going to present a great challenge no matter if you're experienced or not. And that's what you'll see on film over and over. They got a really good defensive line. But the guys that are going to play, they go against our defensive line every day. And we feel very confident in the defensive line we have. And so they've shown to have success against really good defensive linemen. And we feel those guys will give us the best chance. And that's what.
All right, Marcus Freeman there. Those guys give them the best chance against this very elite defensive line that we expect them to be.
We think they will be, yeah.
And you were telling me on your way here, national attention for Nick Scorton.
Yeah, you know, as Danny Cannell and Dusty Dvorak, they do a thing called the Dirty Dozen. And I think what it is, it's a draft for guys they think are going to have a big game that particular week. And somebody gets the first pick, second pick, back and forth. And I think it was Danny Cannell that took his first pick was Nick Scorton. So hopefully.
Did he predict the amount of sacks or anything like that?
No, but they just are predicting it based on, you know, what they think is going to be productivity. So he doesn't think necessarily, he didn't say necessarily that I think he's going to go out and get 3 or 4 sacks. He just thinks he's going to have a productive game.
If you had to put a number on the sacks for Nick Scorton in that game, based on what you know about their offensive line, and again, like I said, that's not to say that A&M's going to get 7 sacks, but based on what we know, based on the production we've seen from Scorton, we've seen from Shamar Turner, we've seen from Shamar Stewart, who's been able to get to the quarterback, maybe not the number of sacks he wants. What would you say the number of sacks for Scorton is going to be?
Well, you know, I think 2 is fair and ambitious. I think anything over 2, you're really asking a lot, because if he gets 1 and it looks like that guy is overmatched, then you're going to start chipping him and have a running back back there, and so somebody else might come open because they're getting one-on-one. But if they're smart coaches, and if Scorton is having his way, you know, think about, unfortunately, they lost the way Michael Clemens was dominating LSU.
Yep.
I can't remember the kid's I can't remember the kid's name. I mean, he got like, 3 or 4 that day?
And I think he had 2 on the final drive.
Yeah. But they were moving him around and stuff like that. And I'm sure they'll do the same thing with Nick Scorton. But you're moving him around to get a good matchup. I can't imagine he's ever going to have a more favorable matchup than going against a true freshman in his first game. Let's
say they move him around and they do everything they can to stop Scorton. That opens the door for everybody else.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you're chipping him and saving a back to get on him and double teaming him, well, then more than likely you got one-on-one blocking on Shamar Turner and Shamar Stewart, and then Cassius Howe may be coming on a blitz. So yeah, a guy like Scorton can create a lot of havoc, even if he's not the guy that's getting the sack.
Stocks G on the YouTube page, if I remember correctly, he is a Notre Dame fan. He says Notre Dame D-line and Texas A&M D-line are pretty comparable in talent, in my opinion. And he says, what are our thoughts on Denbrook being the OC now? Do you think it helps that he has schemed against SEC and A&M before? So before we answer that one, I want to play a soundbite. But let's get to the original question about the Notre Dame line and the A&M D-line. I'd say interior D-line for Notre Dame, very salty.
Yeah, they don't get the pass rush as much, but
they can stop the run.
They're strong. Howard Cross, the third, had All-American acclaim last year. They brought in a kid from Duke,
Who was really good.
Open had like 5 sacks at Duke last year. I think their leading pass rusher return, and I don't have his name right now. It's kind of the defensive end, had 4 sacks. So it's not a walloping pass rush, but they've got talented guys that you're going to have to block. Blocking them's not easy.
Is Howard Cross expected to be a first rounder?
Yeah, probably. I know he's very active. I mean, he's not the biggest guy, and I don't. Sometimes I think that's overblown.
Benjamin Morrison for their defense is the one that I remember being a first rounder, and I'm fairly sure Nick Scorton is in most places a first round pick. Look, they're both going to be really good D lines. But then who has the better offensive line? And there are question marks for both offensive lines.
Yes, there are.
Although from a veteran standpoint, the A&M offensive line has a lot more experience. A lot more.
Right, and who knows what the newcomer Armaj Reed Adams and wherever he plays, what kind of impact is he going to have? A&M, thankfully, for the first time, well, maybe not the first time I can remember, maybe I'm not remembering that much, but doesn't project to start a true freshman in the offensive line. It seems like that's been a pretty regular occurrence.
Last 3 years it has been, yeah.
Going all the way back to Kenyon Green. And maybe even before. So it doesn't mean Kenyon Green wasn't good when he was a freshman, but think about how much better he was as a sophomore.
So I want to go back to that because do you remember in 21 when A&M played Arkansas? That O-line, I don't remember how many guys ended up in the NFL, but they were a veteran group. When Arkansas ran over A&M's defense, for the most part, they were able to get success. That was a very good offensive line. To me, O-line is one of those positions that experience matters in every position. I'm not saying it doesn't. But O-line, you can really feel the difference where the talent level doesn't always have to be the same. It's the experience inside of that group together.
Well, I'll give you Texas A&M, as a perfect
2020.
example. Right. You had a great player in Kenyon Green. You had a pretty good player in Dan Moore. And then you had a lot of guys that got cups of coffee in the NFL if they played at all. But they were, all experienced. They knew what to do, what the other guy was going to do. There was great cohesion, and you can question A&M's cohesion because they do have new guys. But to your point, veteran guys that have been around the block and know what they're doing, that was proven here.
Yep.
That can compensate for maybe some physical ability.
Stocks G, I'm actually going to get into that question about Mike Denbrook in the next segment because I actually have something that ties in with that, both from Coach Elko and also obviously the Notre Dame side of things, Marcus Freeman. Let's hear one more. Marcus Freeman yesterday talking about Coach Elko. One thing I didn't know, I didn't realize that they had a relationship from back in the day. I guess coaching and what's
in the MAC?
In the MAC, yeah, that they had kind of recruited some of the same kids, so they've had a relationship. Here's Marcus Freeman on Coach Elko yesterday. I am not hearing anything.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I didn't hear anything. I don't know what happened there. All right. New studio, technical difficulties. We'll figure it out. They like each other.
Yeah, I'm sure they respect each other. I guess they like each other. They both seem to be likable guys, so why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But none of that matters.
No, and we'll probably hear a little bit later on Coach Elko loves Riley Leonard.
Yeah, sure he does.
He wants to beat that, over the weekend.
We're going to compete on Saturday, and then going to love him afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But on Saturday, he's just another guy in a Notre Dame uniform.
We'll get back to that soundbite a little bit later on in the program. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us up, 979-693-1150. If you do call us, we'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms hotline. I appreciate all the phone calls on there. You can text that same number as well. As we go behind the glass, we're going to say hi to the Nick Savage. Nick is adjusting to a new system, and it's like he's a 3-year starter on the offensive line. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but I don't think so.
I knew you'd say that.
But, yeah, the more I think about this game coming up on Saturday, the more I think, we talk about it a lot. I understand the argument that crowd might not factor in, but I honestly do think.
Factors.
Yeah, I do think again, new era of Texas A&M football. Opponent like Notre Dame coming into Kyle Field to kick off that new era. I just think it's going to be, would it be fair to say maybe top 5 crowd all time at Kyle Field coming this Saturday?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think anytime Notre Dame comes in, it's a big deal. And then it's the first game of the year. And,
New era.
And a new coach, and Connor's back, all these things. So there's always going to be excitement for the first game of the season. But when you add all the other elements, and then game day's coming in. So it just, I think it's fair. It could be.
Yep. All right, let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Aggies gather at the Angry Elephant, and that's where we find the Callie Gardner. Callie, good morning.
Good morning. I can see y'all today.
What's up, yo?
How's it going?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm great.
How do you like the new digs?
I love it.
Yeah?
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm not used to it yet.
Isn't it weird?
It's weird. I feel like I'm in like a very formal, I got so used to the other studio that it was very like relaxed, and now I feel like starting over, but it's awesome.
So the beauty is, for those who don't know, we'll still use the other studio in the future for certain types of shows. We're going to make it a little bit more, I don't know, mobile's the right word, but we're going to be able to have some couches in there, some sit-down chats. We're going to be able to just kind of mix and match. But yes, we're breaking in a new pair of sneakers, Callie.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was showing it to all my friends who have they don't care what I do. I mean, they do, but like they were even really excited for me. So, and for TexAgs in general.
Are you trying to say that they're younger people who don't listen to talk radio?
It's girls who
just want to have fun.
Yeah. And I mean, I am their sports
expert.
Liaison.
Liaison is a perfect word, OB. Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah, that's what I am.
What news do you have for us this morning?
Yesterday Mike Elko announced the tentative depth chart for the Notre Dame game this weekend, and I'm sure everyone agrees, but we're just really excited to see kind of the transfers and how they fit in, the new players, and the old ones, and just see how they kind of work with Elko and his playbook and all the things. And he had a quote yesterday at his press conference that I wanted to highlight that I really liked.
Yep.
It says, "You're just focused on helping these guys get the result that they want. It's about trying to find every angle you can, every little detail you can pour into this game plan to give them the best chance to be successful." And I think that's kind of a thing that's lost on nowadays with coaching. I think he's a player's coach, and I'm excited to see his success at A&M.
Obi, I want to follow that up too, because we were looking at the depth chart yesterday, and we're trying to, I don't know if we can read into it or not, because there are certain positions like, wait, does that mean he's going to play here? Or is he just putting a name there? And you know what? I don't want to figure it out, because I don't want Notre Dame to have an edge.
Right. I'm looking at this, and it looks like A&M should start a rowing team with all these oars. There's, on almost every position. This guy's starting or Cam Newberry or Aki Agumbi, Coley, or Mark Naboo, Demetrius Crowner or Reuben Fothery. The thing that has me scratching my head is that Tyreek Chappelle is listed as a starter at nickel and at cornerback.
Yeah.
I know he has good speed.
If I were to guess, he will start at nickel.
I would guess that as well.
If I were guessing. But you know what? I'd rather Notre Dame not know at all.
I guess.
But they know.
I'm one of those guys that always thinks, how bad a coach are you if you can't figure out in the first play, okay, this is what. I remember Francione one time, they were going to start Jeff Hangartner at, I think, left tackle instead of center against Utah. And it was going to be this, can't tell anybody, it's a big secret. I'm thinking, how long do you think it would have taken Urban Meyer to say, oh, that guy's out at left tackle?
Right.
One play.
So I was listening to Tom Brady. I think he was on with Stephen A. Smith recently. And it was a really good conversation. But he talked a little bit about getting those edges that we're saying. Mm-hmm. And he would have people listen to every interview, every press conference, everything he could, and he started getting a plan together. All right, so they're playing this guy here. Okay, this guy led this little, and that's the edges we're talking about, right? And also, I know this because I've heard this from pro teams and college teams as well. They will scour social media accounts to get every edge they can. Mm-hmm. I see this guy is playing cornerback.
You want as much information as you can get.
Yep.
But to me, it's like, what do I know? But it seems like in my history of covering football, if the quarterback is uncertain, Now that might make a bigger difference
Sure.
in how you're going to approach things. I don't think it's going to be a huge difference if Tyreek Chappelle, with what Notre Dame wants to do,
Yep.
if Tyreek Chappelle is playing corner instead of nickel.
Yep. You know what DFS stands for?
DFS.
DFS. Daily Fantasy Sports. Prize Picks, they're a new sponsor of the show. Hopefully you guys have checked out the app. Matthew Dawson and Luke Evangelist are going to be the experts here at TexAgs because they play it all the time, and they're going to kind of teach us a lot of it. But they're the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Easiest and most exciting ways to play DFS is just against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than 2 to 6 players' stat projections and watch the winnings roll. So you can test your skills on Prize Picks for football season and the most exciting way to play fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000. Prize Picks is really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, enormous selection of players' stats, and they do have college stats. So on the Thursday show during the fan show, Prize Picks is bringing us the fan show. We're going to have those guys kind of play the game a little bit. So if you want to pick Noah Thomas for X amount of yards or whatnot, you can do it there on Prize Picks. They have weekly promotions that lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts player projections up to 25% and even more value there. And there's also Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits. So check it out. Go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and use the code TexAgs. I want everybody to write this down. prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to receive guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups. It is Prize Picks. We are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, the Rollo Insurance Studio, the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Nick, give me a thumbs up if we're good to go with some of our audio. I know we were having some issues earlier. We don't know. We're going to try. Okay, we're going to try to do some of the audio. So earlier, Stock Dad asked the question about if I think Mike Denbrook, knowing A&M a little bit, could be an advantage, and we'll get into that. But I want to hear from both Coach Elko and Coach Freeman on this topic, because to me it's about adjusting during the game as opposed to coming in with such a set plan. Here's Coach. They both had very similar answers. Here's Coach Elko on adjusting. And seeing. He basically said you have to adjust. And guess what? Marcus Freeman said you got to adjust.
Yes. I think adjusting, a coach that can make in-games adjustments is a successful coach. I think coaches that get fired are coaches struggles with that.
Coaches who, this is how we're going to do it, and we're going to do it this way and this way only.
Right. And that's in all sports. I've seen basketball coaches, for instance, that have a game plan and they just don't deviate it from it, even if it's not working, and it's you're going to lose if you don't adjust. If your game plan isn't working, you're going to lose if you don't adjust.
This time we're going to try again, because Nick says, "Have faith." George Michael
You
time.
alluded to
Let's
it a
go.
moment ago, but just how difficult has your job become, and all coaches in college football, with all these changes where you are looking at 8 different types of film? It's hard to predict what Denbrock wants to do with Riley, and as you get ready for this one.
Yeah, I think in an opener, it's always challenging. I think you've got to, create a plan on both sides of the ball that has enough versatility, because you're going to have to adapt. You can't walk into, you go into week 10 and you can kind of talk in certainties. You go into week 1 and you're really not talking in any certainties. Everything you're talking is, I think, maybe could look like this. You do the best you can to come up with the best guesses you can make on what it will be and what it'll be about. But I think you have to be very flexible with the plans you create, because you got to be ready to adjust. And the whole opener is about adjustments and what you can do and what you can adjust on the fly to give yourself the best opportunity as the game goes on to kind of feel how it's going and be able to have practiced enough and be prepared enough that you can go in the direction you need to go to be successful.
So that same question was asked of Marcus Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the same answer. Check it out.
Yeah, the openers, no matter if the coach is returning or not, coordinators are returning or not, like, you don't truly know what to expect. You have an idea of what to prepare for, but openers are huge in terms of adjustments, and we have to be able to adjust on the sideline to what we're seeing on both sides of the ball, special teams. And so that's something that we've talked about in depth as a coaching staff, is that this game is going to be about adjustments and how do we settle down based off what we're seeing from our opponent to say, okay, here's the things we want to do on each side of the ball. And we understand that. It's been like that for the first couple of years, right, as a head coach, that you have to be able to make adjustments, especially that first game.
Yeah, all those things are true. I would think that, and we'll get to this with the question about Denbrook, but I would think that Elko would go into a game saying, all right, Riley Leonard, here's some of the things I know he does really well. So this is what we're going to try to prepare for. Now, what makes that kind of more difficult if he's really versatile and he does a lot of things well. But it's kind of like, when we were talking about Alabama last year.
Yep.
Take Jalen Hurts, find out what he does well,
Milroe.
and let him do. Jalen Milroe, and you could have been Hurts, and
Yeah.
let him do what he does well. And so you say, well, what does Riley Leonard do really well? All right, let's see what we can do to minimize that, and then adjust to whatever else he may be able to do in that game.
Hardest question. It should be an easy answer, but because you've known me for so long, when's the last time you saw me eat a dessert? And how many times in our friendship have you seen me eat dessert?
Not many. Now, I have seen you taste it. Like one time we were in Charlotte.
Okay.
So that would have been 2 years ago.
I did taste whatever we got,
and there was, Jamie, it was some chocolate concoction that looked like
it was good.
A gift.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so I saw you take a taste.
I think I did it in New York. We went to a really fancy place in New York. Sorry, Billy.
That steak place.
Yes. And I did a little bite.
Yes.
But there was actual dessert that you saw me eat half about 3 weeks ago.
Really?
1775.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yes.
Remember,
yes.
I was like,
yeah.
You talk about
banana
meat dessert.
pudding.
This was legit dessert. This was like,
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. They're pretty good at 1775. We talk about the meats, but the desserts are
That dessert
fantastic.
has to be good for you to eat it.
Belinda.
Because you had so much I enjoyed the entrees so much.
Yes.
That I'm like, okay, I'm done. Oh wait, this dessert's
I have
too
to have
good.
half now.
I gotta keep going. Yeah.
Belinda is the mom, Brad and Brandon's mom. She is the master of sides and desserts. So I'm bearing the lead with the meats here in a second, but the sides, the side that I had a romantic relationship with.
Well, and then there was one. It was some kind of, I don't even know what it was. It was like some kind of cheesecake cinnamon roll thing. And,
It was so good.
It was really good.
Yeah. Prime meats, handmade sides, handmade desserts. Featured on Texas Bucket List winners of Bite of the Season, featured in Southern Living Magazine Top 10 barbecue joints. We know it. We've been searching. We found our new home. They're open Thursday through Saturday, and they are open at 11 a.m. until they are sold out. My voice cracked there because it's so good. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 8203 Raymond Stosser Parkway, Suite C, College Station, Texas, 77845. We can't wait to see you at 1775 to give you a little taste of what Texas has to offer. 979-49, I yelled that, 979-492-6241, 1775txbbq.com. It's TexAgs Radio. Gosh, dang it! Nick makes a mistake, I make a mistake. TexAgs Live here in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Hey, wait a minute. What makes you think that was a mistake?
Did
that
you want to show?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's my. I'm being artistic in my opens now. Sorry, I guess you didn't like it.
No, I love it. It's great. It's TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Quick story before we bring in Charean Williams. So last night, Elizabeth and I were going to bed, and I sometimes put some YouTube on because I like to watch news sometimes on YouTube because I don't really trust the network sometimes. Okay,
Yeah.
You know the kind of shows I've been watching, and TexAgs is always up there because you know I watch us, not when it's me because that would be weird. But I hovered over the TexAgs rewind video, and it shows Nick, and Elizabeth and I could not stop laughing because he accidentally made a little mistake on the rewind, a tiny mistake, but his facial, like it shows his face when he's like, oh, and we just could not stop laughing because Nick takes everything to heart. He's doing such a great job. Hey, let me read this real quick because this is important. TexAgs tailgate this Saturday. People have been texting the show. When is the tailgate? 3:30 to 6 o'clock. Free adult beverages provided by Rebecca Creek Shiner and the Standard Range Water. Texas Aggies United will be there selling their exclusive Howdy Water, with which the proceeds go to NIL Fund. Food for purchase by $17.75. We love them.
Love them.
And Ember Pizza also available as well. We will have music, yard games to enjoy before we beat the hell out of the Fighting Irish. Hopefully we can see everybody there. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. That is where we find the Charean Williams here on TexAgs Live. Charean, good morning.
Do we have OB on here?
I'm here.
Oh, good. I haven't talked to you in a couple weeks.
It's been a while.
Exciting. I'm fired up.
Charean,
Week 1 of football. Let's go.
Let's go.
Charean, by any chance, have you seen the new studio? Have you seen any of the pics or the tweets about it?
No, but I will look as soon as I get off here. It sounds exciting.
It is, what's the word to use here?
What about
elite? The studio. Elite. Fantastic. It is network worthy. Like we are now the TexAgs network.
It is grandiose.
That's awesome.
One of my favorite words.
Hey, we're 4 days away. Just tell me your excitement level for this first one.
Well, it's there. I'm fired up, ready to come. Be there Friday. Then we'll tape a little thing for Chancellor Sharp office on the Texas A&M series coming back. So I'll be there Friday to do that and partake in all the pregame activities, and then we'll be ready on Saturday. It'll be a long day, I think, Saturday, just waiting. I mean, you're watching football, obviously, but just waiting for the game to kick off. But I'm terribly excited that it's here and looking forward to a great game by the Aggies. I feel really good about it. I do. I feel like they're going to win this game.
Well, tell us what you know about Notre Dame, and then tell us why you think A&M is going to win that game.
Well, I think it goes back to, obviously, Mike Elko's familiarity with Notre Dame's quarterback, knows him very, very well, knows what he likes, knows what he doesn't like. So there's some familiarity there, which I think helps Elko. I read some headline about who does it help more. Well, I don't know why. I guess he knows the defense a little bit, what they want to do, but it's obviously different personnel, as is the Notre Dame's offense from Duke's offense. But I just, that offensive line of, what do they have, 7 career starts on the Notre Dame offensive line. And we all know freshmen can be great in the offensive line. We had 2 tackles that came in as freshmen who were dominant in Jake Matthews and Luke Jokel. And they played there for 3 years, and they were very, very good from day one. So it can happen. But when you're playing that many young players, I have to believe that there's going to be some leaks in that offensive line, and it's not going to be that good. And A&M's strength is its defensive line. So I just think Notre Dame's going to have a hard time scoring a whole lot of points. I will be surprised and disappointed if Notre Dame scores a lot of points. I just don't think they're going to be able to, and then it's going to be up to that A&M offense, which we all know that's up to the offensive line, how good or bad they are as to how many points the A&M offense is going to score. But I do believe that it will be won in the trenches with our defensive line dominating their offensive line and keeping the Notre Dame score low. Let's hope that the Aggies can score a lot of points, but I do think the Notre Dame score will be a low score.
Charean, am I making too much about humidity and heat this weekend? I mean, Notre Dame practices in heat, I guess, but I just feel like over a 3.5, 4-hour game, this Texas heat and this Texas humidity, even at 6 o'clock at night, is a different level of animal, different beast. There you go.
Yep. I brought that up several times. It's not as hot as I anticipated it being. I mean, normally this time of year we're talking in the hundreds. It's not going to be that. We, have this low that came up, pushed the high out of here. So it's going to be a little bit cooler. I think it's going to be manageable, but I do think A&M has an advantage having practice in it. You can't, as I said there, you just can't duplicate it. And it is a home field advantage because you're able to practice out in the heat. And so I think your depth is tested in these first few games when you're playing in the heat. So, yes, there is zero doubt that this is another advantage for A&M that they have to take advantage of, is just playing in the heat. And the fourth quarter should be A&M's quarter. It should, just from the wear factor of Notre Dame. Now, I looked one day, and it was 76 degrees a couple of weeks ago, 76 degrees. So you can't, there's not that humidity and that heat up there to just practice in it. There's just no way to duplicate it.
You know who always believed in that? I know Charean will know. Jimmy Johnson always believed in that. That's why he moved the training camp from Thousand Oaks, California to Austin. And oh, by the way, they were very successful.
Right. Yes, they were. Maybe they should think about that again, getting out of California and get back in the heat.
Yeah, I don't think they think anymore up there.
Well, that could be too.
Hey, Charean,
can't argue that.
If Connor has a big game, okay, and it's going to be very difficult with that Notre Dame defense, right? The elite secondary, excellent defensive line. But if he has a pretty big game, does that catapult him somewhere? Because he was on that trajectory last year after the Miami game, and then he gets hurt and didn't have a great first half against Auburn before he got hurt, but he was on that path.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're all excited to see, Colin Klein's offense and how it's going to help this offense and Connor Wegman. And that's what I'm excited to see is some of the things that they're going to do on offense that I think are going to be elite. And, that's another advantage I think A&M has because, Notre Dame had to go back and watch Colin Klein's offense from Kansas State and things that he liked to do and break that down. So, I think that's another advantage for A&M. They don't know exactly what that A&M offense is going to look like. It is a huge advantage playing this game in the first. It would be, if you flipped the first game and the second game, I think it would be an advantage for Notre Dame. But this is an advantage for A&M playing in the first week with so many unknowns on this team. I think it's a real advantage for A&M. So when you start looking at all those, how they do the different categories, offense, defense, you get down to intangibles, A&M's got a huge advantage in the intangibles in a lot of different ways that we just mentioned. So, that probably bodes well too. But yes, if Connor Wegman plays great, then there's going to be a lot of talk about him and his future and what's next for him, and he'll be in the Heisman conversation, all those kinds of things. There's no question about that.
Yeah, if Connor Wegman
game for him from that standpoint.
Sorry, yeah, I mean talk over you, Sherman, but yeah, if Connor Wegman has a big game, first of all, it's against Notre Dame. Secondly, Notre Dame secondary is being touted as maybe the best in the country, and they have all these All-Americans. So if he goes out there and has a big game, I think by next week you'll see, maybe not at the top, but you'll see him show up on Heisman Trophy lists. He's got a big test in front of him, and I think the score is going to be low. I think on both sides the score is going to be low. I think both defenses are going to be very, very good. I think we're going to see a lot of punts in this game. It could be one on turnovers. It could be a turnover battle. Whoever has the least amount of turnovers or gets a pick six or gets in the return game, something along those lines could be the difference in this game because Notre Dame's secondary is so good. A&M's defensive line is so good. So that to me is you got to make some plays as a quarterback, and there may not be many of them, but if you can make a few of them, it's really going to make a huge difference. Notre Dame had 16 interceptions last year. In the 3 games they lost, they had 1 combined.
Huh.
So,
protect the ball.
That's going to be the difference. And yeah.
Charean, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Charean Williams there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. They are Aggie Land's premier gun and accessory shop. They've got all you need to build your next firearm. Check them out at bossfirearms.com. It's getting a little testy about weather on the YouTube page. I'll bring you up to speed on that.
Okay.
It's game week, and if you're headed to the game this Saturday, and I know many of you are, the Association of Former Students wants to invite you to join them at the All-Aggie Hullabaloo. Make Clayton W. Williams Jr. Alumni Center your game day headquarters this weekend for, check this out, free drinks, courtesy of Kristen Distributing and City Orchard Cider, and free Slovacek sausage. You can also do some pre-game shopping at the vendor marketplace with CC Creations, the Charge Apparel, South of Kyle, and Kona Ice. There's also going to be a fun zone, games, and prizes for kids. Plus, if you've got questions about your Aggie ring or need to have it resized, the Aggie Ring office will be open throughout the event. The All-Aggie Hullabaloo starts at 3:30 p.m. this week, and admission is totally free. Register now, though, at tx.ag/AAH1. That is tx.ag/AAH1. If you drive it and can't write it down, the association has also posted that information on different threads at texags.com. It is the Association of Former Students. All right, we are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, coming to a close here, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Do want to talk about FBS Appliance and their team of experts here to help you with the appliances that make your house a home. They have all the top brands. They're just the best in the area to take care of you. Taking care of Texas Since 1988, they have all your trusted brands. They have trained installers to guide you through their purchase or your purchase. They want to be the place that you trust. And when they did our house, it was very simple. They had us do a video to show you the corners and the edges when they're bringing in the appliances, so they didn't scratch up walls. They knew exactly what kind of equipment they needed when they did our stackable washer and dryer. They're awesome, and they want to take care of you. Visit any of their 8 showrooms across Texas or find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. That is factorybuilderstores.com. All right, so the reason there's some Notre Dame, very polite Notre Dame guys on the chat, but they're like, how do you guys think you're going to score, you guys being A&M, on that D-line or that secondary?
Well, Clemson did.
Yeah, they did.
Louisville did.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, that way.
Yep. and then the other question is, how you guys are making a big deal about, I was asking a question about weather. It's going to be 100 degrees and 80% humidity. And my whole question about it is, it's one thing to practice in it. It is another thing to be molded. Like, what does Bain say? Like, he grew up in it. This is like, when you practice in it for the entire summer, and then it's go time where every play matters, that's a different level of intensity, and each play matters. I'm just asking the simple question, could it matter at the end of the fourth quarter? It might.
It could, but once again, I've seen this done in the NFL, and I'm sure Notre Dame does it too. Again, you can give they can now give IVs at halftime, and that really rejuvenates guys. But you look for every edge you can get, and look, it's going to be hotter than they're used to. And look,
but it's not going to be that hot. It's going to be 89.
Yeah,
it's the humidity where I think it'll catch
both.
up.
89 is still pretty hot, and then you add the mugginess to it, like you say. But here's the deal: the Big Ten historically won't play in the South,
right?
Because early, in non-conference games, because of the weather.
Yep.
I applaud Notre Dame, and they've been down here before.
Yeah.
So I applaud Notre Dame for being willing to make that move. But I still, at the end of the day, look, we can talk about weather, we can talk about this and that. It comes down to who's going to play better,
right?
And who's going to have advantages. Both teams are going to have advantages. Who is going to be more able to capitalize on the advantages they have?
Callie, there was a question earlier in the show about Mike Denbrock's office.
Yes, it says, David, what are your thoughts about Denbrock being the OC now? Do you think it helps that he has schemed against the SEC and A&M before?
2 things I'll say to that, OB, add to it. I like Riley Leonard a lot. He's not Jaden Daniels, I don't think. Maybe he has that big year, because I didn't think Jaden Daniels was Jaden Daniels at this point last year. At this point, I was like, he's a really nice quarterback. He's not Heisman Jaden. So there is some familiarity, but I don't think he's got the receivers. Now, they may turn into being, Chris Mitchell may turn into this beast, right? But I think right now he's running as the 3rd or 4th wide receiver there.
Yeah, look, he had a big year at Florida International last year. They got Jaden Greathouse from Austin. They have a couple of guys from the lacrosse team that have done really well. But yeah, I don't know that they have those 2 guys that are first-round draft choices at receiver. And I think that's a big deal. Also, Denbrock he's coached against A&M, but he hadn't coached against Mike Elko.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I don't know if we have time to show the video because we've got about a minute left, but Jaden Hill is going to be out of the first half of the Notre Dame game. Callie did pull some audio for us, video for us, because of a targeting penalty that he had in the last game that they played against Florida, 24-15, lost to Florida State, excuse me.
It's so silly that you're going to carry it over for the next season. So if you're a senior or you went to the draft,
you don't have to. Yeah,
it's just so stupid.
You have to change conferences for it to not
It's
matter.
a typical dumb NCAA decision. If you want to put it on the NCAA, whoever's in charge.
I think it was the SEC on this one.
SEC, it's dumb. Dumb rule.
Dumb. Hey, thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
appreciate you. It was a good hour.
All right.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, TexAgs Live, SEC Mike. He's our friend now. We hug, we chat. He's going to join us weekly. It's TexAgs Live. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio, the brand new Rollo Insurance Studio, hour number 2 of the program. Our next guest on the Boss Firearms Hotline is going to be joining us on most Fridays during the football season. He is our friend, and yes, every time he comes on the show, we do not have to reference what happened back in 2021. It ain't going to come up anymore. SEC Mike joining us, Michael Bratton here on the program. What's up, Mike?
Hey, David, thanks for having me. And yeah, new experience here, new studio, everything's new over here.
Yeah, man. You going to be able to make it to College Station this year? I think you mentioned you might come middle of the season. Or am I making that up?
Well, hell, I mean, I'd love to. More about budgetary concerns, particularly the game I want to come to is the same one everyone's going to want to come to, Texas, of course. So if I make it down, it'll be for that game, and I probably won't even get in the stadium that night.
Come on, buddy. Press conference. Press pass. We got you. I mean, I don't got you, but somebody's got you.
Well, I certainly know Cousin Shane would never get credentialed for any kind of legitimate football game.
Hey, Mike, we were watching your show from, I think it was yesterday, and you were commenting on, it was yesterday because it was after Coach Elko spoke about the way coaching in college football has been shaken up due to things because of NIL and whatnot. You brought up the Florida State-Georgia Tech game. So kind of just give our audience a little bit of your thoughts on how it has played a role on a team like Florida State that was heading somewhere and got knocked in the mouth.
Right, and I've been saying it all off season. I understand why we all get excited about landing transfers and what that could do for your team, but this ain't a video game. Some people make it out to be, and I think Florida State found that out the hard way week 0, and this is not even a reflection necessarily of Florida State, but I think it's a reflection of a lot of teams and how quickly can they adapt all these moving pieces in a transfer portal world and an NIL world. Who knows where motivations are? I think A&M fans would know that better than most when we're talking specifically NIL. So it just makes the game that was already uncertain due to roster transition that is the nature of college football. I think it takes it to another level. And for a team like A&M, that's particularly tricky this season, obviously because of the head coaching change, but because they face Notre Dame week 1, because they go to Florida week 3, whereas if they had a schedule like Ole Miss or Missouri or even Oklahoma, where you get 3 cupcake games and a bunch of home games right out the gate, could be a completely different story for those teams.
Mike, how do you think it affects A&M, though, the additions? Because I feel like for a story like A&M, they lost some dudes with some 5-star talent, no doubt about it. But it feels like, at least today before the season starts, that you took 2 steps forward by losing a couple of guys that maybe just didn't fit in the culture here.
Right. Well, I would certainly agree with that, but that's why we highlighted that comment from Coach Elko yesterday, because he kind of said similar thing where, you're going into week 1, maybe he didn't name any specific position groups, but I'll name them for him, somewhere like defensive back, where Texas A&M should be a lot better, right? But then you get into a football game, and then maybe you find, well, maybe this one guy's not ready. Maybe this other guy gets banged up. Maybe this, maybe that. You have to adjust on the fly. So all the areas where we feel like we have shored up a deficiency or we got better depth, that could go away in a quarter. And I think that is the challenge of predicting these games, and that's why it's such a challenge predicting Texas A&M. I could see a scenario, I don't think it's far-fetched, where they go to the college football playoff. Now, I'm not sitting here saying they go undefeated or anything like that, but 9-3, 10-2, I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility. But I also could see a scenario where, maybe they go 7-5, and it's just it's so difficult for me to peg A&M this season.
It's difficult for us too, but this is how I dumb it down to make it, just better decisions in game. Okay. Better culture. Okay. The top strength and conditioning coach. All right. With all the dysfunction that we saw last year, 7-5, with chances, absolute chances to beat some top teams, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU. All those games were right there for A&M. And I know that's life in the SEC. But with all the chaos to go 7-5 with last year, right? And have a chance against Ole Miss to tie in the last few seconds of the game. All that to me, like, you made a change at coach and you made several changes at positional coaches. Like, It has to be better. Maybe that doesn't equate to 10-2, 9-3, but it feels like you're going to be better when it matters at the end of games.
Right, and you kind of alluded to it, but I'll say it for you. Massive upgrade at head coach, in my opinion. We don't need to rehash, but I don't know what in the world Jimbo was doing the last couple of years. I think he had phoned it in. Meanwhile, you got Coach Elko here that, I wouldn't say the jury's out on him because he did such a good job at Duke, but it was only for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So I'm not calling into question whether he can do it, but I'm calling into question whether we can sit here today and say, he's a top half SEC coach. I mean, we could say it, but I wouldn't feel confident. He's got to go out here and show me something. I think by the end of the season, I think he'll be in everybody's top half of the SEC in terms of head coaches. But, yeah, I mean, you make a lot of good points. But, again, this overreactions you thought Florida State overreactions were wild. Wait till Saturday night when we find out if Texas A&M beats Notre Dame. There's going to be discussion that A&M should probably be a top 10 team. If they lose to Notre Dame, there's going to be a lot of discussion of the same old Aggies.
So a couple things to also illustrate there. I like Marcus Freeman a lot. I do. He just there's a swagger to him. The way he speaks, he seems like a great leader. There have been some questionable decisions as the head coach, and there's been some issues, right? And I feel like even though it's year one for Coach Elko, both guys are entering year three as head coaches. Today, I sit here and give the advantage to Coach Elko, even though Marcus Freeman beat Coach Elko last year.
Well, yeah, that's probably fair. I got to be honest with you. I don't watch a ton of Notre Dame football. I don't have a ton of respect for them. But I just watch the football that matters in the SEC, and I was forced to watch some Texas last year because I knew they were coming. But that's neither here nor there. A lot of the same things we said about A&M and the transition, same thing with Notre Dame, with a new quarterback, with a new offensive coordinator. Yes, those look like upgrades. Those look like, plug-and-play type. Mike Denbrock was one of the best offensive coordinators in the country last year, engineering that LSU offense. But is that going to show itself week one in a hostile environment with 100,000 fans in heat? I don't think it will. So I love the under in this Notre Dame Texas A&M game. That's probably one of my favorite bets of the week. But again, Notre Dame could be a fine team this year. I don't know that we're necessarily going to see that right out the gate playing in such a hostile environment.
Some people are asking, and this is on our chat right now, why should the A&M defense be better? I'm going to do something that I hate. I just taught my intern something not to do, but I'm going to do it here on the show. I'm going to give you my answer, and I want to see if you agree with my answer, okay? Why is the A&M defense potentially going to be better? You lose Edge Cooper, right? Your linebacker spot might not be as good. Here's my why. Your secondary is revamped. Bryce Anderson is playing in his more natural position at safety. You've brought in some guys that have played good level, high-level football for the secondary. So that should be better. The D-line, I think we've talked about it many times, right? We know Nick Scorton. We know Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart. We know that group right there. They should eat all season long. Linebacker, I understand the question, but Torian York was one of the top guys out there last year anyway, and you brought in some dudes who have played high-level football as well. Solomon DeShields, right? I can keep going. Scooby Williams. There's others. Damian Sanford is up and coming. So that's why I think they can be better. And oh, by the way, I think Coach Elko and Jay Bateman, DJ Durkin had a nice year last year, but I had some issues with some of the fronts that he did early on. So that's why I think. Sorry for answering your question for you. Do you agree, Mike?
Saying DJ Durkin has some issues is a very kind way of putting it, David. So I agree 100%. I have no clue what in the world Hugh Freeze was thinking in hiring DJ Durkin, but that is not even in the top 10 of questionable things Hugh Freeze has done in my book. So, yeah, massive upgrade. Maybe, again, I question, and not even question, because it's 2 years of Mike Elko, but we have several years of him being a defensive coordinator. He's a top 5 defensive coordinator in college football. So, absolutely, on the coaching front. And one thing you didn't hit on there, which, you kind of alluded to with, some subtractions this offseason. I think the culture and that locker room is going to be a lot better in Texas A&M. We needed some discipline. We needed some toughness, and that is, in the DNA of Coach Elko. So putting all those pieces together, all those players together, it would not stun me if Texas – this conference has quickly change into more of an offensive conference, and there's only, I wouldn't even say a handful of elite defensive teams, at least on paper, coming into the year. So there is a gap there where you can supplant yourself as to one of the top defenses in this conference. And I think Texas A&M is in that conversation, and it would not surprise me if they're top 5 defenses this season.
All right, let's turn our attention to Ole Miss. What are you hearing about the chemistry at Ole Miss?
Well, it's interesting because I don't think they're practicing anybody this fall camp, which I have seen that before. I mean, they have truly embraced an NFL model down there where they've got, I don't want to call them celebrities. I'm sure they are local celebrities, but maybe not national. But, you can't touch this guy. This guy's not practicing. This guy's not having to do anything. And they may not have to because they opened the season with Furman, MTSU, Wake Forest, and Georgia State, or Georgia Southern, which is even worse than Georgia State. So, I mean, they have about a month of football that is really a training camp, but that's a little dangerous to me. I don't know. I've seen this before. I'm a Tennessee grad. That's basically what Butch Jones did in 2016. He had all these star players like Kamara and Barnett and Josh Dobbs and Jennings, and he just let them have a country club atmosphere down there in training camp, and it kind of exposed that team for a lack of toughness. So that is a real concern, particularly if Ole Miss loses one of those games or loses the first SEC game, which is against Kentucky, which again, today you're telling me Kentucky at Ole Miss. I'm picking Ole Miss by a mile, but I don't know. Things can change in a hurry in this conference. So I think he's playing a dangerous game there, Lane Kiffin is in Oxford.
Mike, what does a win for Florida do over Miami for them for this season, considering how tough it's going to get? In the beginning, it's not easy either.
Right. Well, I think certainly they will win. I think they should win handedly. But again, I say that here on Wednesday mornings. Come Saturday night, I'll be firing Billy Napier if they lose it. You know what I mean? Like he's on the razor's edge, no doubt. He is going to be national news for all the wrong reasons if Florida loses this game. But again, I hate to keep harping on the same points, but I'm just such a big believer in this. This isn't a video game. You can't just plug in. Miami's got a new quarterback, new running back, their number 1 receiver, all transfer additions. But basically, every key player on their defense is a transfer addition. Now, does that mean Miami is going to be awful this year? No. But can you go on the road in your first meaningful game in the swamp, hostile environment, and really take it to a team that's got its back against the wall? Now, give me the home team there. I think Florida cruises week 1. But to your point, I mean, it could give them some real momentum. I think Florida is a lot better team than people are giving them credit.
All right, so let's then go to the Georgia-Clemson game. I know you're not picking Clemson, but let's just play the game for a moment. If an ACC team like Clemson, with Dabo and all the issues that he's had, and I know you're rooting against them because of not taking callers anymore, but let's just say Clemson shocks the world and beats Georgia. What what happens in the college football landscape?
Yeah, David, I honestly don't think that would be a bad thing. Certainly it'd be a bad thing for Georgia fans, but I don't know if it'd be a bad thing for college football because I think the perception is Georgia and maybe to an extent Ohio State are just like on another playing field. But I don't know that that's accurate. And this is the reason why Kirby and Nick Saban are railing against transfer portal and NIL because it's even the playing field. So, that would be pretty fascinating, but I truly think not that it would eliminate Georgia from anything. I still think they would be virtually a lock to make the college football playoff, even if they do lose to Clemson. It would certainly help the perception of the ACC. It may even hurt the perception of the SEC a little, but I think it would showcase just how wide open this 12-team era is really going to be.
All right, I'm going to play the same game with you. 2 teams that don't know how to play defense, USC and LSU. What does a USC win do to the SEC and to LSU in the college football landscape?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have some serious questions about Brian Kelly. And it's pretty fascinating, David, because he's won 20 games in his first 2 seasons. He's won a division title. That's more than a lot of coaches have ever done. Yet, I still see a lot of questions on whether he can win the big game. And I keep warning people. I think a year from now, the storyline with LSU is going to be like, man, they really wasted Jaden Daniels and all that elite talent. How did they lose 3 games with these players last season? And I think there's a strong case to be made for that because, again, they're another one where they've added guys via the portal. They've added a completely new coaching staff, and some people think LSU's defense is just going to turn it around overnight. I don't buy that. And we've had Lincoln Riley, who I don't know how elite of a head coach he is. I think he's obviously elite as an offensive mind and a quarterback developer, but give him months and months and months to prepare for this game. I don't know how many stops LSU gets in this game. Now, I don't know how many Southern Cal gets either, so could be an incredibly high-scoring game, but it would not surprise me at all, honestly, if Southern Cal wins on Sunday night.
Hey, I know that you don't pay attention to the other leagues, but I'm just going to ask a question about Colorado. I'm not expecting them to lose, okay? They played North Dakota State. But if it happened, I might cheer. And what would happen to Colorado?
Well, would Deion even hold a press conference? I mean, is he contractually obligated, or can he weasel out of that like he's weaseling out of so many other things? I mean, it's comical, David, and I get it. I'm not even a Deion hater, but just to see some of the things coming from him, I think it's ridiculous. I think, he could have, had Colorado had a big season this year, I think he could have easily parlayed himself into an SEC job. I don't think he's going to come anywhere close to it. And one thing I think people don't even know about Deion, he doesn't do recruiting. He has not yet to go. He's been there for 2 years. He's not gone on a single recruiting trip. Good luck. I don't know how all that's going to work. I hope they win week 1 just so we can continue this narrative for one more week. But I would be surprised if they matched last season's win total. I really would.
All right, last thing for you. Going back to A&M, you were asking these questions about some other programs. I don't remember seeing A&M. What do you think the Ags' record is after 6 games?
After 6 games, can you remind me?
Schedule? We can put it up there for you.
Yeah, bring it up here. I know the first 3, obviously, but I know, and then we got Arkansas in there. The thing I love about A&M's schedule, though, is just how many home games they have in the critical games of the season. So after 6,
I'll give me. Let me just give it to you. We got Notre Dame, McNeese, at Florida, Bowling Green, Arkansas, and then Mizzou, hosting Mizzou.
Ooh, yeah. That Mizzou one's a tricky one. So give me 4-2 for Texas A&M after 6 games.
And that would be good?
I mean, it could be better. Again, if the wheels come off at Florida early, I think Texas A&M could get to 5-1. But I really think that's a tricky game. Game 3 for Mike Elko, year 3 for Billy Napier. That's a must-win for Florida. And I just think Missouri is going to be really, really good. I'm not convinced they beat A&M, but they're going to need a game like that to make the college football playoffs. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how Aggie fans would feel after 4-2. That's a decent start. How about 4-2 and you beat Texas at the end of the year?
Well, let me follow that up. Let's just say, for this conversation piece, they beat Notre Dame and they beat Florida. What does that do for what you think about that Missouri game at Kyle Field with, the same scenario of the Notre Dame game, 110,000 going crazy that evening?
Yeah.
11 a.m. game.
If A&M can beat Notre Dame and win at Florida, then I would say they should be favored to beat Missouri in Kyle Field. Now, if it was in Columbia, I'd change my mind on that. But, yeah, there's no reason that they can't beat Missouri if they could beat Florida on the road and Notre Dame coming right out the gate.
A lot of ifs there, Mike. Thanks for your time, buddy. We'll talk to you next week, all right?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
See you, man. And I believe Billy's going to be on your show soon. I think so.
I'm trying to get him.
Yeah, you'll get him. He'll respond. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. We'll hit a break. Jamie Morrison is going to be in the new studio. I bet you he's going to be like, this place is awesome. I don't know why I gave him. What kind of accent was that?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it was terrible. I apologize, Jamie, on that one. We'll hit a break here. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them on Highway 21 in Caldwell and online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Great selection of commercial vehicles, folks. They've got the service body trucks, the flatbed trucks, the several medium-duty trucks for those heavier jobs. They are the place you want to go when you're looking for a vehicle anywhere in the Brazos Valley, right? And there's several reasons for that. Great pricing, great customer service, great trade-in value. But let's go back to the customer service, right? They have complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. That's good. They have free oil changes for life on the purchase of your vehicle. That's even better. We love them for that. They have a strong and committed sales staff with many years of satisfying those customer needs, and they have a huge inventory selection to fit most needs. They have long-lasting relationships with all their customers, and they are south of those big city prices. It's the beautiful place to go when you're looking for a vehicle. It's Caldwell Country Chevrolet. It's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. All right, we are back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program. Jamie Morrison is in the house.
Yeah, in the house. New digs.
Kind of, still, I think I said, intimidating is not the right word.
Oh, no.
It's just different, right?
Yeah,
like
no, it's for sure different. And like no one sees the behind the scenes here, so normally I'm sitting in a lobby, I come into the studio, but just we're big on gratitude. I just want to give a shout out to the people behind the scenes putting this thing together. There's a lot of work that's going on behind here. This is the pretty face you see. There's a lot of faces out there that are putting this thing on.
No, Nick is doing great. No. Josh, who is one of our owners, is like running point on everything. Yeah. This was his design. He made this bad boy.
Amazing space. I brought you a housewarming gift.
Thank you, sir.
We've been talking about it.
Yes.
Wanted to make sure you had something in here to display Texas A&M volleyball, but there you go.
I know Nick is working on buying some stands. Let's see if I can do this correctly. Please.
There it is.
There we go. So we were talking. It was a good weekend, right?
It was a good weekend. Yeah.
Talk about Baylor.
Yeah, we headed up to Baylor, and it's an exhibition, so it's always interesting because it doesn't go on your win-loss, but just we're about 6 points into the first set, and I turned around to my assistants, and I was like, we're going to be good. And it was just the execution, the way we were able to play volleyball. I think just the people we brought in kind of defined the culture that we want, just in terms of coverage and going after balls and doing some stuff. Not that the people that here weren't, but just I thought all of that stuff started to solidify into who we were, and it was about 6 points in, and I turned around, I'm like, man, we're going to be good. And the first set was really high-level volleyball by both teams. And I think Baylor's ranked 22, if I remember correctly, something like that. And probably legitimately, they've been a top 15 program for a lot of years. And we were staying with them. And as a coach, you start to feel whether you're going to stay in it and kind of control the match. And I never felt like we were out of control. Yeah. And I was like, we're going to win the first set. And then it was like, all right, we're going to win the second set. And then it was all right, we're going to win the third. And we played a fourth to play it, and we lost that, but won 3-0. And I thought both teams were playing good volleyball. So I'm excited to see what it looks like when we put the uniforms on and it counts for a win-loss.
So we had Jackie Sherrill on the show yesterday, legendary A&M football coach, and I asked him, like, some of his top teams, could you tell early, like, are there signs very early on that you're going to be good? And he said yes. Yeah. Obviously, you don't want to put too many expectations on a team that's about to enter a season, but you feel something when you see them. You see it, right?
No, we're going to be good. And I've been talking in other press conferences, and I had a moment beforehand where, like, I think as a coach, you get this movie of what your team can look like in your head. I think it's from a cultural standpoint, from a volleyball standpoint. And when you become good at coaching, it's how quickly can you move your team towards that movie? Like, how quickly can you hold them accountable for the standards that make your culture? How quickly can you change the way that they do a technique or systems? And it started to look like that movie. And then you have this moment, you're like, oh no, what if my movie's wrong?
Right.
So it was nice for us going to Baylor and coming back. I was like, all right, like I had that moment beforehand. I'm like, oh, I think we're playing good volleyball. But now there's some proof in that. So yeah, I feel like we're primed if we can stay healthy, on task, bought in, stay in tune with that culture to do something special.
It was an Italian coach who kind of gave you that thought, right? Well, you were telling me a little bit about it last week. Which coach was that?
Julio Velasco actually just won a gold medal. First time ever coaching on the women's side.
And he was a men's coach before.
Was a men's coach and took over the Italian national team and won a gold medal with them against USA, unfortunately. But but told me that idea of movie. And just, again, like you have this moment where it's like, oh no, is it right? And it was nice that it was right.
All right, and let's just talk about what Baylor can, this exhibition, from a tactics standpoint, how you can apply things in the regular season, because you're still experimenting, right?
Yep.
Early on when the exhibitions, you want to see players in certain spots and different types of rotations, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so it was a little bit of playing with that, and I think the one thing also in addition is we're deeper right now, I think, than we have been. And there's lots of different people that can come in and contribute and help us win in different ways. So and I think you'll probably see those different ways throughout the season of different people coming in at different times and playing different roles. And I think that's kind of where we're going from here, still trying to figure some of those things out.
So you've told me before that after a year in the system, players know what to expect. But just when you compare preseasons, right, where you were a year ago to where you are now, what are some of the things that you're seeing?
Yeah, we're further ahead. And I think just going back to what I said earlier, just the cultural piece, I think people have an idea of what that's going to be and stay in tune with it. And then I think from the volleyball piece, I think we brought in a bunch of new people, but I think having people that have been here to be the model of both of those things, culture and volleyball, all of a sudden, instead of me just saying it and showing video of other people doing it, they're looking at the person to their left being like, oh, they're doing it, I need to do it.
Right.
And I think that starts to happen faster and faster.
Let's talk about urgency, because it's kind of, the volleyball season feels sometimes like a sprint, right? But also recognizing, we've got to treat each match with a certain intensity, but it is a short, long feeling season.
Yeah, it's like running the 400, where I think you got to go, but near the end of the 400, you're tired.
Yeah.
There's a sense of urgency, and I think for everybody, it's like, wow, we play for real this weekend. And I think if you were talking to players, staff, fans, everyone's like, man, we're back, and it's year 2 for me. And I remember sitting in that studio for the first time ever, and it feels like it was yesterday. So it gets on you in a hurry and it gets over in a hurry, but then when you're in the middle of it, it feels like a grind.
Let's talk a little bit offensively, how you're feeling, or things are trending.
Yeah, great. Like I said, that first set, I think at one point, and volleyball efficiencies are a little bit like a hitting percentage in baseball, except for we subtract errors. So it's every time you get a kill, minus any error block that you get divided by total attempts. And at one point, I think we were hitting 500 in the first set. Typical is 250. And they were hitting 400. And I remember looking to our assistant at that point. I was like, man, we just 1 or 2 stops and we have this. And we got the 1 or 2 stops and we won the set. But just we have a lot of different offensive options on our team right now. And we're really hard to defend for that reason. One of the things we talk about is strength and balance. We don't want to necessarily have one person that's doing it all. If an opponent wants to take that one person away, we got 3 other people that are going to go attack the ball, and we're there right now.
I know that coaches don't like singling out one player in particular, but is there somebody that we need to know about? Like, hey, when you watch us this year, you know these players. Here's one you're also going to get to know.
Yeah, I don't like singling out players. And
we got a few new ones.
Yeah, I would look at the new players that are on the court as you come to matches and explore that. I really, what I just said, like we're not a, I don't know, one-trick pony. Like we got 5, 6 of them that are on the floor, and we have some that aren't even on the floor sometimes. They're going to come in and contribute in different ways. So I would just pay attention to how the whole thing fits into different people are going to get theirs on different nights.
What's the next week look like?
Yeah, we head off to South Alabama.
Okay.
Play 2 matches there, and then my goal was to play at home as much as possible. And the 12th man's been asking for it. I remember last spring, I was like, hey, when are your spring matches? We want to come. And so we had to finagle our schedule a little bit because usually the preseason is these 3-game tournaments that either you play 2 games on one day, which I'm probably never going to do again just for athlete well-being, or it's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but then our football team's playing at home for 4 or 3 of these weekends in the preseason. So we head off, we fly back Sunday, or fly back Saturday night, practice on Sunday, and then we play at home against Texas A&M Corpus Christi for the first time this season. So hope to see as many people there as we possibly can. And then that following week on Friday, we play Texas State before we play a home football game. So hoping to see some people there too.
Do you feel like you've had enough time to get things where you need it to be for today?
I don't think as a coach you ever feel like that. There's always things you can work on, but I was just going back and with a fine-tooth comb watching that match. There's a lot of good things going on. So again, I don't think you ever feel like, oh, like we're ready to go. There's always things that we're going to be working on, but I'm just excited for the world to get to see what it is that this group, what this staff have been working on for the past 8 months, through the spring, through our foreign trip, through the summer on the athletes' part, and then for the past 2.5 weeks. I told our team afterwards, I'm just proud of the work put in that got us to this point, but we have more to do.
Such a long off season, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. We don't get to see them enough though. One of the things I'm going to fight for, I think I've said it, I hadn't said it here, it's just basketball, football, they get to coach their athletes during the summer. And I think for us in women's soccer, that should be the case too. And it's one of the things I'm going to try to push for with the NCAA, that it shouldn't be that we get in and then all of a sudden you play a match in 2 weeks, and as coaches we're trying to push to get ready, but then from the body standpoint it's hard to ramp them up to safely do that, and we just need another month would be probably good if we can get them for that. So I'm going to be pushing for that this offseason.
Jamie, thank you, sir.
It's always a pleasure.
Appreciate you, buddy. Yep. All right, we'll hit a break, and he knows which spot's coming. Your car wash tradition, which, by the way, I went on Sunday, and I had my car wash. It was fantastic. They have friendliest staff there at Aggieland Express Car Wash. They have 2 locations. You got the original William D. Fitch behind the Shipleys. You have the new location, 2528 Texas Avenue South in College Station, across from the Planet Fitness. They have all the services you want. I went to the new location because I needed full service because I was being lazy that day, and that's okay. It's okay to be lazy. They'll do the whole thing for you. They'll do it real quick, and they're doing it for a special time at half price. It's normally $40, so they'll give it to you for $20. That's full service. They'll do it all for $20 out there. Just tell them I sent you from TexAgs. But here we are. We're going to give a free one away right now. Caller number 1, 979-693-1150. We're going to give you a full-service wash at the new location of Aggieland Express Car Wash. That's a $40 value. You're getting it for free. 979-693-1150 is Aggieland Express Car Wash. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for the KBTX Roundtable. Nicole Griffith, hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Already
Howdy.
complaining when
Sorry.
you walk in.
Morgan,
hello.
complaining.
Hi, good morning.
Miss Weaver and Tyler Shaw.
Morning.
By the way, congratulations, buddy.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm not breaking the news on the show, right?
No. Yeah, it's happened.
What's the title?
Sports director.
Sports director at KBTX.
Yeah. We got the whole sports crew here.
Hey, let me tell you, following a legend is not easy, all right? It's not. I follow Gabe here, and trust me, I hear about it every day, so following Darryl is going to be tough.
Yeah, 37 years, so I don't think I've got that in me, but we'll see how long we last.
Don't count yourself out, yeah.
All right, so let's start things off. Nicole, we'll start with you. What's different about A&M camp this year, this fall camp for you? Because this is your third season covering the team, right? And what's different about it? What jumps out?
Yeah, I think like one of the first things I noticed right away was, and this is just something that I observed, there's a lot less like yelling. I feel like it's a lot more teaching and a lot more engaging one-on-one. And maybe that's just what we're seeing, right? Like we're getting only a certain amount of periods. We're only getting, they're only showing us what they want to show us. But I feel like, I know we don't really they don't like us talking about like last year all the time and comparing it, but I feel like there was a lot more yelling and swearing, and not that that's not good, but it just seems like how much is that really empowering these athletes. So I feel like there was a lot more hands-on and meeting players where they're at.
I think there has to be a happy balance. There's got to be some yelling and accountability, and I know Coach Elko's big on accountability, but we have a different age of athlete, right? It's just their feelings are hurt, I think, easier.
Is that a dig at Gen Z a little bit?
Not you, little tiny one. Although my staff, they're
more
great.
sensitive.
Yeah. What's different for you?
I think you touched on it a little bit, just the accountability aspect. I think that's been kind of the message, and I think they know what went wrong last year. They know that they have to put in the work, and I think accountability was a big thing. Also, it just feels like positive energy around. I think people are excited for this year, and I think there's less, I don't want to say pressure or expectations, because it's kind of a new era, so I think they can relax a little bit more.
Yep. Tyler?
Yeah, there is a different energy that you can feel, and an excitement around there. You can tell they're locked in, and I think a lot of that has to do with this whole fall camp. They know they're preparing for Notre Dame, the big matchup. But again, it's preseason. We only see kind of a snippet of kind of everything, so it's I don't want to get too far ahead of like what am I actually seeing here?
Yeah.
What is actually going on?
So Tyler, we'll keep it with you. I'm sick of the what ifs.
Right.
Like I'm ready to see some football. So like this theory I have, and my theory is, when you have too many what ifs, and A&M's got a lot of what ifs, right? A lot of ifs, I should say. There's too many to hit for it to all go the way I want it to go, right? But it's a theory that I think we're going to be pretty good at wide receiver. I want to see it. I think the offensive line is going to be better. I'm ready for those ifs to be answered.
Right. And the biggest if you just said is the offensive line for me. I honestly want to see what it looks like. But there are too many things you can see that the point in the right direction to really be have too many concerns in one certain area. Like the offensive line will be better. How much better, I don't know, but I think
got to be better.
Has to be.
You can't lose.
As long as you can keep Connor on 2 feet most of the time, I think you should be good.
Morgan, give me some of your questions, your ifs about this team.
I don't want to knock on the offensive line too much, so I'm going to choose something different. I'm going to say I don't think they're going to be bad. I just think it's a big if, the DB room, because there's only 2 starters returning. So I think
might be a good thing.
I think it might be a good thing. So that's an if for me, just because we haven't seen them yet. But I know there's a ton of talent in there from the transfer portal. You have Will Lee. I know Jay Bateman mentioned Dalton Brooks is extremely
He's
talented.
had a great,
Marcus Ratliff. So I think that is an if for me, just because we haven't seen them. Doesn't mean it's a bad if, but I'm excited to see how they do.
Nicole?
I'll take the tight end room. I feel that they have to replace Max Wright, who was a staple in the offense, and then Donovan Green is coming back from injury, and they bring in Trey Watson, the transfer from Fresno State. So
like that kid.
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of potential. It's just the if, if this team does well, or if this unit does well. So, and then you replace Jake Johnson and the Max and Jake connection. So it'll just be interesting to see how they utilize Colin Klein's offense utilizes the tight ends, and if it's more of a how many times, how
Right.
often, if it's just packages and whatnot.
Morgan, let's talk about Connor for a moment too, because we haven't seen a healthy quarterback for a full season. But what we have seen from Connor, like, he's 16-2. That is phenomenal numbers. But you're taking on a defense that their specialty is the secondary. The whole defense is good. Like, so what kind of expectations? Do we put too much expectations on Connor entering this game against a really solid Notre Dame, a top 5 defense?
I think the expectations should be high for Connor just entering the season in general, but against Notre Dame specifically, I think we're going to see him challenged, and I think Notre Dame is a good challenge for him because then you can see what he can do against SEC opponents. It's not just like a ULM or New Mexico to open the season where we all blow up Connor expectations because he does so well. So I think going against Notre Dame the start of the season, it'll put expectations where it should be and what the standard should be for Connor.
Tom?
We haven't seen a whole lot of him starting, but I feel like he has enough experience where we don't have to wonder anymore, and we don't have to treat him like, oh, it's just a new quarterback. He doesn't have a lot of he has the experience. He's been around the team this whole time, and he has played in those critical moments. I think he's going to be fine and ready for this kind of a moment. Honestly, it's about who's protecting him and who he's throwing to, but I think Connor's going to be ready.
Nicole, you mentioned the tight ends earlier, but like as a whole, as a bunch of pass catchers, including the tight ends and the wide receivers, do you like the options that he has?
I do. I think that there's like history, connection. They've been playing together for a while, so chemistry. That was the next word I was going to list.
That's why I said it for you.
You just go down the list until you find it.
So Noah Thomas and Connor, they have such high praise for each other. Moose, I feel like, could have a breakout year. I do, and maybe someone needs to step up though, right? Like
maybe Terry Bussey.
Maybe Terry.
The
ifs.
There's no way we don't see him integrated into this offense at some point, right?
At the very least, special teams at some point.
Right.
At the very least. He's going to play a factor, I think, this season. And if they feel as comfortable as I think they do about the secondary, it might be on the offensive side. It might be. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah. I think Elko's smart enough to know, he's not afraid to move things around to best fit the talent he has, and he knows he's got a really good talent, Terry Bussey.
All right, let's do another segment. You guys down?
Let's do it.
All right, this is a new studio. We got to do double segments.
Oh, wow.
I think we usually do double segments, right?
We do.
All right,
Sure.
Just making sure. If you have pain from arthritis, that sucks. You don't want to have pain from arthritis. If you have bone-on-bone constant pain, it robs you of so much joy and the stuff you love to do. Maybe you like to jump rope. Like I know Morgan's a big jump roper. She loves it, and she's got.
You see me jumping rope.
I'm just. I was guessing. Is that true?
Part of the bit.
Oh, okay.
Part of the bit, Morgan.
Part of the bit. Come on. If you do that and you're having pain while you're doing it, you need to reach out to QC Kinetics because they're going to take care of you. They've got effective ways to deal with that pain, and I'm not talking about drugs or surgery. I'm talking about cellular therapies to get you back to moving, doing the things that you love to do. They have these creative edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing joints so you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know that steroids and surgery are no longer your only options. You need to reach out to QC Kinetics and use their advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance the joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief. And the best part about it all, no downtime. You go in, you go out, you're back to living your life. Local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative cellular treatments. It is the future of medicine, and it's here right now in the Brazos Valley. Call them up, 979-452-6000, QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That is 979-452-6000. I feel like such a creeper watching Nick every movement he does. Like I'm watching him because I have this monitor now. I can see it before.
Yeah, get the behind the scenes look.
I like
You know,
that.
I used to have behind the glass, right? But behind the glass, I didn't see him.
Yeah.
He was just a glass, but he was behind the glass. I just couldn't see him. Now I can see his every movement. It's TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. So I'm just going to ask this question that came on because I am terrible at this. David B on the YouTube page says, any guesses for the game day guest? I got zero. I got nothing.
Oh, like the guest picker on ESPN College Game Day.
Oh, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easy pick is Johnny Manziel. I don't know if
Yeah?
You know,
I don't know what kind of relationship he has.
I think he's going to be there, though. He's going to be there.
He's going to be there?
I feel like that's an obvious pick.
Yeah? Now, I know Johnny Manziel and our future guest on the show today, Rudy Ruettiger, they're doing an event together.
Yeah.
So I think at Aggie Park. So there's that. But I don't know. I know that if it was a Notre Dame, Elko's picking, if it was a Notre Dame guest, it might be Shane Gillis, who's the funny comedian who's a huge Notre Dame fan. I don't know. I'm not good at this. David Figueroa says it's going to be Alex Caruso. I don't know.
Oh,
he's in town.
He is in
He is
town.
in town. He had his event yesterday.
Ted Cruz.
Maybe it's Ted Cruz. I don't know if they want to do politics. I don't know. Maybe. All right, so when we were talking about some question marks we had,
Yes.
we did not talk about running back. And I think that's interesting because while I have questions about running back, because when you lose Ruben Owens, you can't be as good. The room takes a hit.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of faith in what they have already there. So Tyler, you start us off.
Well, so running back's going to be different because they don't have an Isaiah Spiller. They don't have a Devon A-Chan. Right? A-Chan.
A-Chan.
They don't have that feature back, that go-to guy, the guy that should be getting, 1,000 yards a season.
Yeah.
But they have Colin Klein in his offense, and I have faith in what he can do with running backs, and they have a capable running back room. So I think with this system and the guys they've got, even without Ruben Owens, they'll be in good shape.
I'm going to allow Callie to ask this question, and she's not ready for it, but I'm going to make her ready. Callie, let's ask a question of the panel. You pick who goes first, Nicole, Morgan, Tyler.
Oh, gosh.
Whoever you want.
We'll go with Nicole.
Okay.
Start on the end. I get to pick a question.
Yeah, just whatever you want to ask. What question do you have? I hope it's hard.
Gosh.
It doesn't even have to be about football.
It needs to be football.
Yeah, I was going to say I could go everywhere
It needs to
if
be
that's the
football.
case. Okay, as far as season openers go, you can't really draw up a better one than one we've got this weekend. Top 20 matchup in Kyle Field, Mike Elko's era starting at A&M. What kind of excites you? Can you describe what the city feels like? Kind of just what the
overall
atmosphere is, in College Station right now. And
I think it just brings such so much excitement, right? And we just keep saying that word. And we've been able to talk about, the Notre Dame, week one, College Game Day is coming to town. And Elko said it yesterday that he's able to have the attention of his players all off season. They're not starting with, I don't like making fun of other smaller schools, but a smaller.
Like McNeese next week.
Yeah.
Bronny School.
I feel like we're gonna be hit. We're gonna have this huge Notre Dame excitement, and then next week it's just gonna.
No, it's good because
Go down.
if they get to 1-0, what was that stat I heard yesterday at the press conference? They haven't been 2-0 since 2016. You win that if you win the first game against Notre Dame.
Yeah, then you're 2-0.
I think it's just you just can't ask for a better opener with Elko playing playing a team that his former team, former quarterback, top 20 matchup. It's just it's an exciting time.
We got about 34 seconds left. Any thoughts on the vibe, the atmosphere right now?
I think the vibe is great. I think Elko talked about it yesterday. There's a lot of pros and cons to opening with such a big game, and one of them is the motivation for the team in the off season. And I think you'll see that they're going to get right quick.
That's for both teams, Tyler.
You never asked for a prediction of the actual game. 21-17, Texas A&M with the upset. Scorton Scathes Irish. There you go.
Anybody want to follow that up?
I think Texas A&M upsets as well.
27-20. Don't have a headline yet.
27. That's a lot of points. All right, 27-20.
It'll be a little score.
Well, when it's 27-20, you heard it here. So.
Yeah, hey, I think Vegas had it at 46, 47 points. All right, we got to hit a break. Thank you guys, appreciate it. We'll come back with Jordan Pugh. It's TexAgs. We're keeping it real here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline, talk to my guy Jordan Pugh here on the program. Jordan, good morning, buddy.
What's going on? Hey, man, you got a new set back there?
What do you think? Pretty good.
Hey, man, it looks good. I like it, man.
When are you going to come to town?
Looks good. Hey, man, you know what? I was talking to my wife yesterday at dinner. I said, you know what, man, I got to get back down to College Station. My daughter's soccer games are now during the week, so now I have a excuse now to get down there. So I'm coming down there, man. I'm going to be in studio. Don't worry. It's going to happen this season.
Remind me, what club does your daughter play for?
She played with the Dallas Renegades.
Okay. All right.
Yep. She's a big, she loves the goalie position. So now we get into that whole little spot, man. So trying to get her ready, man. I got to get her footwork right. You know, she is a Pugh after all. You know what I mean? So we got to get her going.
Hey, so speaking of new studios, we got a new one, but I'm sorry, I think you've added some production value in your studio. I see a red light in the background.
Yeah, man. I got to give my wife the credit again. She said everything that you do looks tacky. So I have to dress it up a little bit. So she put all the little decorations back there. So I'm just here, man. I got to give credit as credit's due, right? I'm glad that you noticed it so I can tell her that it looks good. You know what I mean? And go from there, but appreciate that.
Hey, no, it looks great. So I know you well, and I know that you are going to be very opinionated. When it's good, when it's bad. Yep. And during the prior regime, you complained a lot, which, by the way, you were right. But I feel heading into this Notre Dame game, you're on the optimistic train. Am I right?
Yes. One, it was a quiet offseason. So what that tells me is there was a lot of work being done, a lot of work in silence. Two, you just like the direction of where the program is going. With what Elko is doing, I think he demands a lot. He has a standard, which every coach does, but I think he has a standard that holds people accountable. And you can hear that with what the players are saying, man. You hear the interviews, you listen to the SEC media days, you hear them in the post-practice interviews. It's a different tone to the team. It's a different approach to the team. I think there's a certain toughness to the team, and I like that. Like I said last time we were on, man, it's never been an issue of talent. It's just been an issue of putting it together, taking all the ingredients, man, and making the right meal. And I think that we have that. I think it can show early or it can show late, but I think you're going to see the makings of what Elko's been brewing, man, this whole offseason. I'm excited for this weekend. I think it's going to be big time. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people, man.
Yeah, I hope we surprise a lot of people. So you played safety at the highest level. Bryce Anderson is now moving back to his natural position of safety. I know you like his game. So what kind of season can we maybe expect from Bryce?
Well, you're looking at leadership. So when you break down the safety position, you have to have a guy who won his vote, right? When you look at the defense, man, the safety sees all, right, from the front to the backers to the secondary. So being able to vocalize fronts, adjustments, and whatnot. The other thing is you look for range. Can he play sideline to sideline? Can he get out of the middle of the field? Can he get off the hash and get to the sideline when the ball is in the air? So he has great range. But most importantly, can he play in space? So you're looking at what he can do in the space game as far as coming downhill and making tackles. And you're looking at one-on-one opportunities and situations against slot receivers, tight ends. Can he man his own? And you're looking at a guy who has the skill set to be a dominant safety in the league. He has, size, speed, all that stuff. But as far as the mental side, the awareness of the game, he possesses it all, man. So I think this move to safety is his natural position, but you'll see him elevate and execute at a high level because that's where he belongs.
And what about the rest of the secondary, too? Because last year was rough, man. Bryce was playing at a position he played very well at, but it wasn't his natural position, right? Now you've brought in Will Lee and others, and you've got Dalton Brooks growing. You have so many different options. You've got Ricks, who's looking fantastic in camp, and he's a 5-star. So just overall, the secondary.
Well, overall, the secondary is, I don't know a lot about the secondary, which is a good and a bad thing, right? Now, practice is one thing. I mean, I'm glad everybody looks good, but everybody in practice. Man, you have spring, you have summer, you build a relationship. What does it look like when the bullets are flying? What does it look like when college game day rolls into town? You got 100,000 plus night game, all that. The biggest concern that I have about the team is the secondary, in particular the corner position. All right. So where are we going to be at that position? As far as the front, with our D-line, our linebacker position, I'm not overly concerned about that. I think we have one of the best D-lines, if not the best D-line in the country. So that will help the secondary. But can we hold up against elite talent? That's what we don't know yet. I think that we brought in good transfers. I think that we brought in pieces, man, that can play. But will they be a cohesive unit? Will they be able to handle the big time atmosphere? Will we be able to go up against elite talent, man, to be able to hold our own? That's the biggest question that I have. I believe we can. I believe we will do it. But until it's on the field, I don't know what that is. And I'm talking specifically about the corner position. That's the one that kind of concerns me a little bit.
But Jordan, it's got to be better than last year, right? Like, just even micro levels, right? Marginally better.
Yes.
Like, it's got to be. They've got different players. They got health, and they have the young players who were thrust into action last year have experience now, and they're not expected to be the starters.
Well, here's why it's going to be better than last year's, because we have Elko at the head coach position, i.e., I don't want to call him the de facto defensive coordinator, but that's what he is. So you're taking his schemes and elements. But also you have the Elko factor, plus you have our D-line. You're looking at Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart, you got Hicks coming off the edge, man. You have all those guys who can create pressure and cause chaos within the pocket. I think it's not that I think. I know that the D-line is the secondary's best friend all day long. If you can get pressure and you can force that quarterback out of the pocket, force him to make rush throws, that helps the secondary. So, yes, I believe we will be better. But remember, our standard is championships. Our standard is SEC titles, playoff run, national title. Now, if we're looking to that, we have to be able to have elite guys on the outside. The only way that we're going to know if we're elite is, man, we have to feel that pressure. We don't know what that looks like yet, because as a unit, we haven't done it. When you're looking at new pieces in the secondary, the number one thing and the number one cause for concern is communication. If we don't have the communication in order, man, you see a lot of blown coverages, a lot of missed assignments, man. That's why offenses do a lot of motion to be able to have confusion within that group. That's why I like Bryce back there again. That's why I like him with his season play, his understanding of the game. I think he can be the glue to what we need in the secondary. Let's go back to Coach Elko, because you have a lot of faith in him. It reminds me of this movie in the 90s. I don't know if you saw Boiler Room. It's a stocks movie. And Ben Affleck is telling the bunch of young people, act as if you are the freaking CEO. Act as if. Yes.
In football, that is a mindset that I think not enough programs and players do. Act as if you're Georgia. You can have those same aspirations. You can have those same kind of tendencies. Programs that do things the way Tom Brady does it, the way LeBron does it, the way Michael did it, there's a reason championship level people who do it on the consistent basis are what they are. Yes, they have the talent, but they act as if, and they are.
Well, yeah, look, you get into the game you play the game to win, all right? And then at the end of the year, they give a team a trophy for being the best one. You want to be known as the best. In order to be known as the best, you have to act and handle your business as if you are. So, yes, I completely agree with you. And that's what I like about Elko. Listening to him talk, listening to his press conferences, there's a certain air and aura to him, but it's an air of confidence. But it's an air of confidence where the work has been done. The work has been completed. That's the air that I get from him. Hey, man, we're not here to do all the talking. That's cool. Once the work is done, man, we'll let our talk play on the field. And I think that's what you're getting out of him. When you looked at the Duke teams play, they were tough, physical football teams. And you knew every time that you played Duke the past 2 seasons, you knew you were going to be in a dogfight. You knew you were going to be in a boxing match, UFC fight, whatever you want to call that. So looking at what we have, you take what he did at Duke, you take the mentality that he had over there, you bring it over here and transfer it to A&M with the talent level that we have. I think we had a lot of addition by subtraction with the guys leaving. Everybody gets so caught up in that nonsense. I think it was a lot of addition by subtraction. And you take the level of talent and that's increases from Duke. I think that you have a well-oiled machine. Now it's about putting it all together. Now it's about the cohesiveness. It's about the chemistry. And I think that he's the right guy to do that.
Jordan, I feel like we're playing the hits here because I'm going to keep going to topics that I know you like to talk about. All right? Because there have been times on this show that I brought things up that you get disappointed in the conversation because of how angry you were about what was happening across the street. Here's one that I know for 3 years you like talking about. Connor friggin' Wigman.
Yes. Well, look, if he's healthy, we're a problem in the SEC. If he's healthy, we give everybody issues. You already know what my belief is. I think he's one of the best guys in the nation. And he was on track to do that last year. He had one of the highest QBRs last year before he got hurt. You saw the poise that he played with. You saw how he's been able to play off brand, off script. I think that you need all of that. Now, you take what we're doing with Klein coming in at the OC, mixing in a lot more motions, a lot more movements on offense, a lot more unpredictability. I think that opens up the floodgates. You look at what we have. You know, I know that Ruben Owens went down, but you look at Le'Veon Moss. You're looking at Daniels. You look at what we have on the outside with Noah Thomas, Ja'Day Walker, Moose, which I hope to God they play Moose, because Moose is a baller at that receiver position. But when you look at the weapons that we have, you look at what we have at quarterback, man, a guy who can man the helmet, a guy who can control the offense, who can create plays. Man, I'm excited to see him go. I think that this could be a big standout year for him. And I think that he has a confidence level now, knowing that he had those games under his belt, knowing what he was doing last year. You just have the injuries that derailed him. I think this could be a big breakout year for him.
Jordan, let's go back to the D-line that you are spitting about. Shamar Turner, 6'6", 290. I'm reading this from Beaglow on the YouTube chat. Shamar Stewart, 6'4", 300. DJ Hicks, 6'5", 300. Nick Scorton, 6'4", 290.
Yeah.
All right, so you've got the level of talent that they have. Look at your face, man. You're excited when you talk about it. And what we've seen them do and what we expect them to do. Now, I want you to think about Notre Dame's situation. They have a very young offensive line. They might be elite. Those guys could be NFL first, second, third round picks. But I do want to talk about, like, when you have that many new players on the line, how experience does play a factor, especially throughout a full game.
So from Notre Dame's perspective, from what I've heard they've had a couple guys go down. Am I correct? Like a left tackle maybe or something like that. Look, I just think here's what I think. I think that I hate the word potential. Potential drives me nuts. I can't stand that word. But I'm just going to use it for lack of a better word in this moment. I think that Notre Dame is potentially walking into a buzzsaw when it comes to O versus D-line play. When you look at our defensive line, our starting four in particular, I think they are absolutely phenomenal. So it's one thing to have the size. All right, so we have the size 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" above. We got the weight, but they're explosive. You can't they handle double teams very well. We have guys who can create chaos and fold pockets coming off the edge, man. I just don't think that they're ready for that. Then you take that, you add the atmosphere that Notre Dame is walking into. Not only that, they're coming from Indiana to Texas. It's going to be 227 degrees on the football field. I think that all of those factors, they play a role in the outcome of this game. I just love what our D-line is. I think that we're not getting enough praise, which I kind of like, because we've had all the praise we can get in the offseason. But, man, I think when they are on full display this weekend, I think you're going to see one of the best D-lines in the country. I just think they possess everything that you need. They're explosive. They're chaotic, man. They play with violence. And I'm really excited to see what they do.
Jordan, I want to go back to the weather thing because that was a topic at the top of the show. This week in South Bend, it's been in the mid-90s to 100, okay? And the humidity has been higher than usual. Game night, it's going to be 86 degrees if you believe Google and AccuWeather. But the humidity will be higher, 76 to 80%. I'm laying out all these weather things for you because you've played in those environments and you've gotten used to environments. It's, to me, and I could be wrong here, it's one thing to train in it for a few days, right? There's another thing to live in it. And like, this is how you always train. So even though it's not going to be as hot as we expected, will it play a factor late in the game potentially?
Yes, it will play a factor. One, the humidity alone will play a factor. Listen, like I remember when we played New Mexico. Okay, now I know that everybody's expecting Colorado. I remember when we played New Mexico. I never will forget. We went out there and we're going through pregame warmups, and I swear there was a gorilla sitting on my chest, man. I have never breathed that hard in my life, right? And you go out there, you try to get acclimated to it, but man, you're there for a period of time, and your body, it takes a while to adjust. It's the same thing for the heat. When you're talking about the altitude coming from where they're coming from down south, man, where the heat is, where the humidity is, I'm telling you, man, it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment like no other. And when you live in that, when you train in that, when that's your everyday life, it hits a little bit different. And then you're taking on top of that adrenaline. The adrenaline is going to be pumping. So that depletes you as the game goes on as well. I think that, they can call it 90, but we both know that 90 in Indiana is a whole lot different than 90 in South Texas, right, with the humidity. So I think that's going to play a big factor in the game. And I'm not sure how Notre Dame is going to handle that. I don't think there's a way to prepare for that. You can do what you want. You can hydrate as best you can. But when you're in that atmosphere When that adrenaline is pumping, when you're full go, it plays a role, a big role.
Talking to Jordan Pugh here on the Boss Firearms Hotline. It is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Wallow Insurance Studio. So let's talk a little bit more matchups, because one thing that we know about Notre Dame, their defense is going to be salty, right? Connor has been so good at limiting turnovers. 16-2 is his touchdown to interception ratio as a starting quarterback. But Notre Dame has, if not the top cornerback in college football, one of the top cornerbacks in college football who stopped Marvin Harrison Jr. Like he controlled that game, right? They also have Xavier Watts, who's one of the best out there, led the nation in interceptions. So considering how good Notre Dame is on defense, and the question marks we have offensively about A&M, because we have to have questions until we see this new offense and offensive line and wide receivers. Like, just give me some thoughts about that matchup in particular.
I think it's all about quarterback play. Look, our O-line is going to be improved. We know that we had some issues last year on the O-line, but I think they'll be improved. I just think it's about the quarterback play. Look, as far as weapons are concerned, Notre Dame's defense is good. It's very good. It's very talented. But I think we have more weapons at our disposal than they have weapons on their defense. That's the first thing. But it comes down to what Connor does within the pocket and within the game and creating plays when they break down. I think that's going to be a big-time difference. He's way more athletic than what people give him credit for. He can run. And then I think with a lot of the movements that they're putting in on offense, a lot of the play actions, a lot of the boots, a lot of the waggles that really play to his game, I think that opens up more in the playbook. So I love the matchup between, really their secondary and what we have offensively at the weapons at the receiver position. But overall, when you look at our backs, you look at our tight ends, you look at Connor. Connor is the glue, and I think he's the difference maker that allows us to be efficient on offense.
Jordan, last thing for you. Another topic that I know you love. I'm just going to say a person's name. Maybe I'll say their position or what they do, and then I want you to respond. Ready?
All right, let's do it.
Tommy Moffitt, strength and conditioning coach. Go.
The number one person in the program. I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. The strength coach is the most important hire that you can make in a football program, because they instill the mentality, the intensity, the toughness, the grit, whatever other adjective you want to use. You will see that on display on the field on Saturday. And I think having him in there, and you even hear the players talk about it. The players talk about how different it is. Man, the mentality for us is what's going to be key, is what I'm interested in. The mentality for A&M is the case study for me this season. It has never, ever been about ability and talent for us. It's always been about, can we finish? Are we tough enough? And can we put all the pieces together? And I think having him changes the game for us a lot.
Jordan, I appreciate you, man. Hope to see you soon.
All right, let's do it.
Jordan Pugh there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. We're going to come back with Rudy Ruettiger. Why am I doing the voice thing? Rudy Ruettiger. I know the audio, some people said was all over the place. Mine's gotten better. That's good. But I'm sorry. That's all me. I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry, Nick. Just got a text from Chance McClain. We've been going back and forth. Chance McClain runs Heritage Films. He's one of our great sponsors, a dear friend of mine. And he does these documentary films. You've heard me talk about it. But something you probably haven't considered. How about making your family business or your business like the character in the story, right? Like that's something that he's had a lot of success in telling stories, because for a lot of folks, their business is their child. It's their baby, right? And, for the folks here, they've got family, but they have this. They have TexAgs, and it's a character in a story. And that's what he loves doing. He loves telling people stories, the family business story. And now think about it from the family business or the big business as the character in the story, how it got started, what all went into it, the weeks of the Maroon and White report, the first few weeks of TexAgs and coming together, and then the Gabe era to the David era to the Jimbo era to the Elko era to the Sumlin, like all these different things combined into one awesome story. And that's what Heritage Films does. They tell these stories about families, family businesses, family ranches, you name it. They are the absolute best at telling stories. Chance is the most creative guy I know. I've told you that because he hired me, and he was brilliant for that at 1560 The Game. But he was my friend before that. He's done Broadway musicals. He's a good old boy. Can be on a tractor. Can also be at a play. You name it, he does it, and he can tell your story. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. Yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341 is Heritage Films. It is TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 3. We've got about 35 minutes or so left in the program. So yesterday I had the privilege of talking to Rudy Ruettiger. We're going to run that today. Had a great conversation. He'll tell you some more specifics, but he's going to be hanging out with Johnny Football this weekend. So let's get straight to it on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Here's my interview with Rudy Ruettiger. I think we're going to hear the interview with Rudy Ruettiger here in a moment.
If you could tap dance for a second.
I'll tap dance because Callie wants to ask me a question. Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Calita.
Yeah, we had a question about how the Notre Dame defense is going to be able to stop Wigman and the Klein offense, who was the 10th best scoring offense last year at Kansas State with a bunch of 3 stars.
Well, look, I have a lot of respect for Notre Dame's defense. Al Golden is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. I don't know if... Look, they're going to have success against the A&M offense, but I think the A&M offense is going to have success against the Notre Dame defense. The question is, protecting the ball, something that Connor does very well. If you can protect the ball against that defense, I think you're going to have a chance. Now, can you run on them? Can you open up a couple of big plays? That, to me, is going to be, if you can go, every once in a while test them to open up that running game, I think that's where you'll see offensive success. Let's go to that interview I mentioned a moment ago. Rudy Ruettiger. All right, everyone, let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We are joined by the legend, Rudy Ruettiger, here on the program. Rudy, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Yeah, that's pretty cool, a legend. I don't look at myself as a legend, but I am absolutely honored to be at A&M. And by the way, the best of A&M, you ready?
Heck yeah.
Texas A&M band. They have not lost anything. They are awesome. If people don't see that A&M band, holy cow. I'll never forget watching them. I'll never forget how they performed. And I was there with President Bush when we watched them up in the review stand. And he's never seen the movie Rudy. And he asked me who I was. I said, I'm a nobody. And he said, no, you got to be somebody to be up here. I said, well, they made a movie called Rudy. He said, I don't believe I've seen that. I said, would you like to see it? He said, yes. He gave me his address. I sent him the movie. And on November 6th of the re-election of the little guy, George, his son, he says, from a proud dad, Barbara and I watched Rudy. Thank you. It's pretty cool that you could do that.
That is fantastic. And look, legendary story, no doubt, Rudy. And you were telling me something before we started the interview that Jackie Sherrill made you an honorary 12th man.
At the foundation dinner they had, he made me honorary member of the 12th man. How about that?
So did you have many dialogue or much talk with Jackie? We had him on the show yesterday.
Yeah, you do, but it's been so long ago. He was just a wonderful, appreciative type of guy who gave a lot of issue to what a walk-on was. And he understood that, the contribution of a walk-on. And we connected in a big way on that because his kickoff team is all walk-ons.
Rudy, I want to ask you about this event you have. You're going to be with Johnny Football here, Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Football.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Johnny Football. In fact, I'll tell you a little bit about Johnny Football. I meet him at a signing, and he says, "Sir, my name's Johnny Manziel." I said, "You're Johnny Football," and he said, "Yes, sir." And he calls me sir. He really referenced me and revered that moment, and I really respected him. So we kind of became like a respect to each other. But there's a thing we're having together. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I know it's going to be a fun event. And I know anything that he does, we'll have fun with it. So, yeah, that'll be a good event. And I know tickets are available, too, at the legendsonlytailgate.com. So, anyhow, that's Saturday, the 31st, I think, in Aggie Park, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
But listen, I love, and Dr. Giordano was a professor at A&M, and we were going to do a Rudy in his business class. He taught the business classes at A&M. We're going to do a leadership, and I'm going to meet him there at A&M as well, Dr. Giordano. He's now retired, of course, but man, those relationships were awesome at A&M.
Rudy, do you find yourself still like watching college football, being plugged in? Obviously, you probably follow Notre Dame. You follow all the big storylines. You keep it to Notre Dame. Did you follow Johnny when he was playing?
I did, because he was exciting. You never know what he was going to do next. That's why he was exciting. Today's a little different. The kids are different today, and not that it's bad. It's just, hey, listen, they're getting paid. It's almost, I call it a train wreck waiting to happen, and I'm not sure what train wreck is going to happen first. But it's almost being a free agent in the National Football League. Now they're a free agent in college. I said, wait a minute. I don't understand. Someone's got to take control of this, because these kids are good kids, and they just feel if things get hard, they have to go somewhere else. So I'm going to give you a little quick story about Joe Montana, who was at Notre Dame. He was a junior till he got his opportunity to play at Notre Dame. It was the middle of the season, and Joe had a new coaching change from Parsegan recruited him, and Dan Devine comes in from the Green Bay Packers. And the new coaches like to have their own new recruits. And make a long story short, Joe came in as a 7th-string quarterback at Notre Dame. But his junior year, he was 3rd-string quarterback, or maybe 4th. He was a prep team quarterback who was not given the real plays of the starting team. But one thing he understood was from his father, who would not let him leave Notre Dame, because he had every right to leave Notre Dame, but never left Notre Dame, to go to Pittsburgh and stayed at Notre Dame. Good thing he did, because he got his chance to play at Notre Dame his junior year. And because of a couple of guys getting hurt, not only did he play, but he come from behind and beat North Carolina. Then the next week, he does the same thing with Air Force Academy. And that kind of start, maybe this guy is somebody. So they ended up playing him. He ends up winning the national championship. Bill Walsh sees the skill and talent this kid has, drafts him low, puts him on the bench for 2 years, and the rest is history. 4-time Super Bowl, 2 times most valuable player. So Joe never quit. He stuck it out, even though things didn't look bright for him. And the point is, when things get tough in life, you don't leave. You don't quit because things aren't going your way. You stick it out and grind it out, and you will always have your opportunity if you prepare. Maybe it's not in a football game. Maybe it's in life. And that's the lesson, I think, that needs to be taught to these kids. You don't leave because things aren't going your way. Yeah, you may get a better opportunity. Yeah, but the grass is never greener either. So that's the train wreck I'm talking about. It's later on, maybe not today.
Rudy, I want to follow that up with a question about the future of college football, because there's going to be less walk-on potential at these big schools because the scholarship limits look like they're going to go up. And stories like yours may not be able to happen in that kind of world of college football. Now, that's not a guarantee, but it looks like it's moving in that direction. Does that worry you?
Well, yeah, it does worry me. And scholarships for high school kids are going down, the opportunity they're going to have. So what's the answer? Junior college. Go get yourself prepared. If you don't get a scholarship, that doesn't mean they're not going to find you. You got to go out, find other ways to make it there. That's what that means. That's what we have to teach, be resilient. There's other ways of getting there. I didn't get to Notre Dame academically the way I should have. I got there because I had to go to the Navy, learn more about what I had to do, learn about my disabilities, and learn about how to take that disability and make it an advantage to me. And I have dyslexia and attention deficit disorder. But because I hung around the right people in the Navy, which I'm a veteran, and enlisted in the Navy or in Vietnam, it taught me to be patient and be around the right people. And I took that back to my blue-collar job where an accident happened, where I had to make a decision. Do I move on? Do I feel sorry for myself? Or do I blame? I moved on and went for my dream. I didn't want to live in regret. So saying all that, that mindset is so important. When things get bad, you don't go back and regress. You go back and move on and move toward and don't live in regret, because maybe things don't work out right away, but they will if you stick in there.
Rudy, why do you think your story to this day resonates, even with kids that were not around when the movie came out, right? Like, it's your story is so empowering that my kids who were, my boys, my oldest were born in 2008, they've seen your movie. They love it. Why do you think it's such an empowering movie still?
Because it shows you that no matter who you are, where you're at in life, if you just put focus on what you can do and get better at what you do and show up at what you want to do, you'll have your opportunity. And that connects in every walk of life, whether it's business, school, sports, whatever. I had the latest, when Kobe Bryant was, God bless his soul, when he was living, he contacted me at a basketball game when my daughter was singing the national anthem, him telling me how much the movie meant to him and the message he got out of it. And you could look this up on the internet, Kobe Bryant meets Rudy, USC. But he talks about the message of the movie, Rudy. Just show up, work hard, and get better. That's it. And if you do that for 20 years, where are you going to be with the talent and skills that you have? So we're giving up on our skills and our talent. Work ethic is the key, and getting better is the key. And I think that's why a lot of these people connect to that. Because of that, they identify. And a lot of these athletes I meet at, like I was just in New York at Fanatics, and Allen Iverson comes up to me, and Michael Vick comes up to me, telling me how much the movie meant to them. And Archie Manning comes up to me. We're talking about how much the movie meant to him as a father. So you have to understand this movie hits everybody, whether I speak to a lot of businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs, but it's about the dream. It's about the purpose. And some of us chase the money, and you shouldn't chase your passion. And the money will come in different ways, and different values will happen to you. And I think that's why they connect.
Rudy, last thing for you. Let's talk about the game Saturday night. Just your thoughts. Notre Dame has some big aspirations this year. A&M hopes to be on a similar trajectory. Kyle Field should be electric. What are your thoughts heading into this game for both teams?
Well, you got two traditional teams right there. And, well, my goodness, the audience is going to be awesome. The crowd, that stadium rocks when A&M comes into that stadium. And here's the key, because Notre Dame has a transfer quarterback from Duke, but he grew up with the movie Rudy. And Rudy was his favorite movie. So he's coming there fulfilling his dream. I think that's why he's going to connect to that football team, because he has a purpose. And he has a connection to, I call the tradition of Notre Dame. So that's going to make a big difference. Whereas Texas A&M, hey, listen, look at those kids. They still live. But the Valor, it's the safest campus I ever felt I was on, Texas A&M. And going to yell practice with the kids was awesome. Just being around these kids was awesome. And the band members would come up to me and say, I'm in the band because of your movie, Rudy. And they would give me their drumsticks and all that. So you think about how much the student body connects to everyday life and to the dream. That's the difference. That's why it's going to be a great game.
Rudy, thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you this weekend.
You bet. I love your studio, man. You got it going.
We do, man. We'll talk to you soon. All right, that was fun talking to Rudy. When we come back, my guy is not like your typical athlete. Jamie McCoy shows up 20 minutes early to a 20-minute early check-in. That's how he rolls. I saw him on Zoom from here like an hour ago. Like it was 7 a.m. I'm like, Jamie, your interview is not till 10:35. He was already in the Zoom room ready to talk to us with all those great sneaks. We'll talk to him on the other side. Milliken Reserve Time, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and their mission is to build a healthy community around nature. So I've been telling you about the trail run with the trail runners there at Milliken Reserve this Saturday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Go check it out. That's for members only. You got Day at Play. That's for the kiddos, right? Get outside and enjoy the heat, August 31st, 9 a.m. to midnight. Or no, excuse me, 9 a.m. to noon. Not for the kiddos, not till midnight. Gardening 101. That is a fall and winter planting September 3rd, 9 a.m. to 12 o'clock. They have all the animals that you want to see. White-tailed deer, the songbirds, the rabbits, the turtles, and they shared a conservation of legacy, legacy of conservation, excuse me, because I've got dyslexia today, which means generation after generation, you're going to come back to that pristine countryside place. The website is millikenreserve.com. Again, that website, millikenreserve.com. Go check it out. Welcome back into TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio, the brand new Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Boss Firearms provides high-quality firearms and components to their civilian and law enforcement customer base. See what they've got for yourself at bossfirearms.com. Jamie McCoy is joining us, the real Jamie McCoy. What's up, my friend? How you been?
What's going on, David? How you doing?
Man, you showed up early, man.
Good to see the new studio. Digging it.
You gonna come by?
Oh, I'm happy to whenever you guys need me.
All right, man. Well, let's kind of talk a little bit about your expectation level for this season. It's been a while since we've spoken. Just how excited are you?
Man, I'm super excited. Coming off of Elko and all that I know and remember him doing when he was our defensive coordinator. I remember loving the second half adjustments. I'm happy to see him get in here and get a chance to put his mark on history and with A&M. I'm happy to see Colin Klein and his offense and just our run game, see if it can be more of a boost for us as far as us being so stagnant in the years past. And then I'm excited offensively for our tight ends, receivers, everybody to get moving downfield. And really, I'm excited for the defense. Really, it's the whole package. I think all Aggies are over the moon and ready to get this season started off.
What do you think the key is to, I don't know if playoff berth is the right term to use here, because I think that you have to answer a lot of questions before that becomes a possibility. But the key to feel like we are definitely not on the right track, and to me, definitely on the right track is more than 8 wins.
Yeah. Which eternal optimist, I definitely think 8 wins is attainable. But the key is going to be, in my opinion, not looking like the team of old. I remember when Cliff and Sumlin were in here, our attack used to be getting a big lead, holding the lead, and then just riding that thing on in and getting the win. I don't care how or what fashion we do it this year, whether it's running the ball, leaning on our defense, leaning on special teams, whatever it may be, conditioning. Not sure what it's going to be, but I think 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins would be great. Again, eternal optimist. I think we're headed on the right path, but Saturday is going to be a big showing in that, especially going up against a top 10 team. I think if we can go in, handle our business, get a win, I think that sets us up for everything that we're hoping for in the future.
All right, Jamie, let's kind of go through both scenarios. Let's say A&M wins a tight game against Notre Dame, what that means afterward. And then also, conversely, let's say they lose a tight game to Notre Dame, what that means afterward. Because I don't want to say A&M is playing with house money, because they're not. They need to win this game.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of grace with a new program. So I kind of go both paths and tell me what you think.
You're right. There is grace. But, I mean, as all Aggies know, I'm tired of the grace period. We need to come out and strike and let it be known that we're here, and you're gonna have to feel us. In a tight win scenario, I think it moves the needle for us. It gets us on people's radar. I think with a win over a top 10 team, I'm not sure if it would catapult us into the top 10. But I would imagine we'd be right outside of it, which in that scenario, if you can just hold steady all season, let's say maybe 1, maybe 2 losses against tough opponents, then you're kind of still in that window of making a playoff position, being in the top 20 and being somebody seen. But which, again, I absolutely think that we're capable of doing that, and that's absolutely what I expect. In the event that we go out there and have a close loss, again, if you're not an Aggie fan or an Aggie in general, everybody's expecting the same thing. We're playing a ranked opponent. It's our house. They don't care. Everybody's expecting us to lose this game. But I think all of us in-house are expecting to win, obviously. But should we lose that, I would see us probably getting bumped out of the top 25. We need to win the next 5 in a row to even have any relevance of even trying to attain the playoffs. So this Saturday is huge for the Aggies. I know Elko knows that. I know you don't want to come in with your debut game with the L on your record. So I'm rooting for him. And I'm just hoping that he comes out. I know he'll come out there and have the boys ready.
Talking about Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, Jamie, so let's talk about the tight end position, a position that you know quite well. There's a lot of promise there. I don't want to say potential, because Trey Watson is a nice player. Donovan Green, when healthy, has been a very nice player. Shane Calhoun, there's others, right? The Theo, apparently he's had an incredible fall camp. Talk to me about that position group and what the kind of security blanket they can be, both from a blocking perspective and also from a pass catching perspective for Connor.
The tight end position is going to be huge. Like you said, on the blocking aspect, we're going into a new run system with Colin Klein's offense. I know he likes to have the tight ends involved, and just my knowledge of the game, having a tight end, maybe even two tight ends in the game, is absolutely pressure off of your O-line should they need help. But it's also another factor for your running backs, whether you're cross motion, doubling up to the next level on the linebacker. I know that Notre Dame prides themselves on trying to stop the run and hold that steady. So should we need to implement the tight ends, I know that Klein will have some sense of what we need to do and how we need to attack these guys. So I'm excited for that. Passing game wise, tight end is the quarterback's best friend. I'm not sure. I'm just like all of us Aggie fans. I'm ready to go out here and see the game. I don't know if we're going to be used more in a dink and dunk fashion where we're in chipping, helping. If nobody comes, we leak out late into the flats, or if we're going to strike downfield and kind of go over the middle in the Kelsey Kittle fashion. Either way, whoever the guy is that's out there, I like for us to make it known that every position on this offense has its need and is willing to put their hand in the pile and help us get the win.
Jamie, I hope to see you soon, bud. Thanks for making time, and I appreciate you as always.
Oh, yeah, no problem at all. See you later, Dave.
See you, man. Talk to you soon. Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Live. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with one final short segment as we got some text messages to get into, and I hope my voice goes up and down for you all listening. All right, now we're talking Rollo Insurance. They are the official insurance provider of TexAgs Live. They've been the insurance provider for TexAgs Radio and Live since day one. That's what they do. They take care of us. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built on educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They can write any form of insurance to anyone, and they have several offices in the great state of Texas, 53. You know where. They're here, their headquarters, Highway 6. You've got them in Houston, you've got them in the Metroplex area, you've got them in Austin, you've got them in San Antonio, East Texas, West Texas. They want to take care of your car insurance, homeowners insurance, farmers, ranch farmers, hobby farmers, business owners, you name it. They will take care of your insurance needs, and their priorities are God, family, and country. The website is rolloinsurance.com. That is rolloinsurance.com. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com. It is time to end the day with Double Dave's. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave, serving Aggieland since 1984. They have your favorite pizza. They have your favorite pepperoni rolls, reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. Angry Elephant News and Social Center, Kali, who now I can see clearly. Hello, Kali.
Hey again. We have some baseball news in August. I know it's crazy, but this is the first time in 27 years that 3 of the top 4 picks from the MLB draft class have debuted in the big leagues by the following season, and all 3 of them came from the SEC. It's Paul Skeens with the Pirates, Dylan Cruz with the Nationals, and Wyatt Langford with the Rangers. Skeens and Cruz played for LSU, and Langford played for Florida, so that's really awesome. I know it's August, but we've always got time for baseball. And then also one last thing, the Kiffin brothers are now back together. Chris is joining his older brother Lane as an analyst for Ole Miss football. So
thank you, Callie. Appreciate you as always. All right, I'm going to read this last one real quick because I think it's interesting. On the premium boards, if you're not a subscriber, you're missing out, folks. This is the kind of great content you can expect. It's actually because it's talking about us. Mid-Morning Tuesday from Rich L 318. Darn, this is going to be a long week. Yeah, it's just Tuesday, and I can't wait for that game. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching and listening. Tomorrow on the program, I know we got Marty Smith. I know we got John Harris. And I know we got Kurt Bowles. That and more, we will see you mañana. It's TexAgs Live.